The world outside has fallen into a hushed stillness, yet inside the confines of the mind, the sun refuses to set. You lie there, the weight of the blankets feeling both like a sanctuary and a cage. The clock on the wall marks the passage of time with a rhythmic, indifferent click, but your thoughts are moving at a velocity that defies the quiet of the room. This is the threshold of the overthinker, the moment where the body craves the abyss of sleep, but the intellect remains a vigilant sentry, pacing the halls of a house it built out of shadows. We tell ourselves we are solving problems, that we are preparing for the storms of tomorrow, but in truth, we are only weaving a web that grows tighter with every rotation of the mind. Tonight, we are not here to fight the thoughts. We are here to observe them, to understand why the mind chooses to stay awake when the soul is weary, and to slowly, gently, begin the process of unraveling. Consider the nature of a single thought. It begins as a whisper, a flicker of a memory, or a fragment of a what-if. But in the silence of the night, these whispers find an echo. They bounce off the walls of our insecurities until they become a roar. We find ourselves revisiting a conversation from 3 years ago, dissecting a tone of voice, a look, a word left unsaid. We become forensic investigators of our own history, looking for evidence of our inadequacy. Why does the mind do this? It is a survival mechanism gone rogue. The same instinct that once scanned the horizon for predators now scans our social interactions and our past mistakes, looking for threats that no longer exist. We are hunting ghosts in a graveyard of our own making, hoping that if we analyze the past enough, we can somehow change the outcome that has already been written in stone. There is a strange, paradoxical comfort in overthinking. It gives us the illusion of control. We believe that if we can just think long enough, if we can map out every possible variable and anticipate every potential disaster, we will be safe. It is the ego's attempt to play God, to command the tides of fate through sheer mental exertion. But the more we think, the more the world feels like a fragile glass structure, ready to shatter any moment. We have traded the peace of the present moment for a fortress of anxiety. We are like sailors trying to still the ocean by shouting at the waves. We do not realize that the more we struggle against the water, the more likely we are to sink. True safety does not come from knowing everything, it comes from the realization that we can survive not knowing. The weight of the future is a heavy burden to carry into a bed meant for rest. Overthinking often masquerades as preparation. We rehearse conversations that will never happen, we solve problems that haven't occurred, and we mourn losses that are purely hypothetical. We are living in 1,000 different futures, none of which are real, while the only reality we have, this breath, this heartbeat, this moment, is ignored. It is an exhausting way to exist, to be a time traveler who is always lost in the not yet. The mind is a wonderful tool for navigation, but it is a terrible master when it refuses to dock the ship. Tonight, we must ask ourselves, what are we trying to prevent? And is the cost of our peace worth the price of this imaginary protection? Rest is not merely the absence of movement, it is the presence of trust. To sleep is to perform an act of profound surrender. It is an admission that, for a few hours, the world will continue to turn without our supervision. For the overthinker, this surrender feels like a vulnerability. We stay awake because we do not trust life to take care of itself. We feel that if we let go, everything will fall apart. But look at the stars, look at the trees, look at the very breath moving in your chest. They do not require your permission to exist. They do not need your thoughts to sustain them. There is a deeper intelligence at work, a rhythm to the universe that persists whether you are thinking or not. As you lie here, try to feel that rhythm. It is the pulse of the earth, the slow breath of the night, and it is inviting you to return to the simplicity of being. We often mistake our anxiety for a blueprint. We believe that by overthinking, we are architects building a fortress against the unpredictable nature of existence. This is the need for control, the silent driver behind the midnight carousel of what-ifs. We tell ourselves that if we can just anticipate every crack in the foundation, the house of our life will never fall. But look closely at the blueprints in your mind. They are drawn in shifting sand. The more we try to solidify the future, the more we realize that control is not a shield, it is a weight. It is the heavy armor of a knight who has forgotten how to move, standing still in a field while the seasons change around him. Tonight, we begin to look at the tools we use to try and command the universe, and we ask if it is time to lay them down. The Stoics spoke of the dichotomy of control, the sharp line between what is ours to command and what belongs to the world. They taught that our suffering stems not from the events themselves, but from our frantic attempt to control things that are fundamentally indifferent to our will. You cannot control the weather, the traffic, or the opinions of a stranger. You cannot even fully control the thoughts that pop into your head like uninvited guests. When we overthink, we are essentially trying to colonize territory that does not belong to us. We are exhausting our spirits trying to govern the ungovernable. Imagine the relief of realizing that the vast majority of the world's burdens are not yours to carry. You are not the manager of the universe, you are merely a guest within it. Think of a river. When you stand in the middle of a rushing current and try to hold the water back with your hands, you only exhaust yourself. The water continues to flow, indifferent to your struggle, splashing against your chest and rising toward your chin. This is what it feels like to obsess over a situation you cannot change. But what happens when you stop pushing? What happens when you turn and float with the current? The river is still there, the power of the water is still immense, but the struggle has vanished. Surrender is not defeat, it is an alignment with reality. It is the recognition that the river knows the way to the sea far better than you do. In the quiet of this room, can you feel the current of your life? Can you trust it to carry you, even while you sleep? Our need for control is often a mask for a deeper fear, the fear of being inadequate to handle whatever comes next. We think that if we aren't prepared, we will be destroyed. But think back to the most difficult moments of your life. Did you think your way through them beforehand? Or did you simply find the strength in the moment the challenge arrived? The human spirit has an incredible capacity for spontaneous resilience. You have survived every unbearable day you have ever faced, often without a plan. Overthinking is a lack of faith in your future self. It is a refusal to believe that the person you will be tomorrow is capable of handling tomorrow's troubles. Rest now, and trust that the version of you who wakes up will be exactly who you need to be. As we move deeper into the night, let the need to be right or prepared dissolve like salt in water. The mind wants to be an island, fixed, solid, and separate. But you are more like the ocean itself. Deep beneath the surface, where the waves of thought are crashing, there is a profound stillness. This stillness does not need to control anything. It does not need to win. It simply is. Let your awareness sink down away from the surface noise. Leave the architect behind with his blueprints and his worries. Here, in the depths of your own being, there is no future to fix and no past to rewrite. There is only the cool, dark peace of the present. You are safe because you have stopped trying to be the master of everything. You are finally just yourself. Night has a way of turning the mind into a cinema of regrets. When the distractions of the day fade, the past tends to come knocking, unbidden and insistent. We find ourselves walking down corridors we thought we had locked years ago, revisiting the should-have-beens and if-onlys. This is rumination, the mental act of chewing on a memory until it loses all its nutrients and leaves only a bitter aftertaste. We replay that one sentence we spoke in haste, that one opportunity we let slip through our fingers, as if by observing the memory one more time, we could somehow reach through the veil of time and rewrite the script. But the past is a ghost, it has no substance, yet we allow it to sit heavy on our chests, stealing the air from our present. Why do we punish ourselves for being the people we used to be? We look back at our younger selves with the wisdom we have gathered today, forgetting that we didn't have that wisdom then. It is a fundamental unfairness of the mind to judge a past version of yourself by a standard you only reach because of the very mistakes you are now regretting. You are holding a trial where the judge, the jury, and the executioner are all you, and the defendant is a person who no longer exists. Every time you ruminate, you are dragging a corpse into the living room of your current life. You are trying to fix a broken vase that has already turned to dust. There is a profound difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection is a brief visit to the past to gather a lesson, like a traveler stopping at a well for a drink before continuing the journey. Rumination is falling into the well and trying to live at the bottom. The water there is stagnant. It does not flow toward the future, it only circles the same dark center. To let go of the past is not to forget it, but to accept that it is finished. It is an act of radical honesty to say, that happened, it cannot be changed, and I am no longer there. The person who made those mistakes is a stranger to the person lying here tonight. Give that stranger the grace you would give to anyone else. Viktor Frankl, who endured the unimaginable, taught us that while we cannot change our suffering or our past, we can change our attitude toward it. He suggested that meaning is found not in the absence of pain, but in how we integrate it into our story. Your past mistakes are not stains on your character, they are the texture of your soul. They are the scars that prove you have lived, that you have ventured out into the world and been touched by it. Without those shadows, the light of who you are now would have no depth. Instead of wishing the past away, try to see it as the soil. It is dark, it is heavy, and it is messy, but it is exactly where the roots of your current strength are buried. As you breathe in the coolness of the night, imagine your memories as dry leaves on a dark path. You can look at them, you can acknowledge their shape and color, but you do not need to pick them up and carry them. As a gentle wind rises, see those leaves begin to tumble away into the darkness beyond your sight. They are leaving you now. With every exhale, you are releasing a piece of the history that no longer serves you. The you of 10 years ago is gone. The you of yesterday is gone. Even the you who started listening to these words has changed. You are a river, always renewing, always fresh. The past is just the banks you have already passed. Rest in the flow of the now. There is a silence that comes when we stop arguing with our own history. It is the silence of a house after a long storm has passed. The air is clear, the noise has died down, and for the first time, you can hear the quiet beating of your own heart. This heart is not in the past. It is beating right here, in this moment, in this bed. It does not care about your mistakes, it only cares about keeping you alive. Listen to its steady, forgiving rhythm. It is the sound of life moving forward, unburdened by the weight of what was. You are allowed to be new. You are allowed to sleep. The ghosts have been dismissed. Deep within the overthinking mind lies a relentless architect, one who demands that every pillar be straight and every stone be polished to a mirror shine. This is the voice of perfectionism, not the pursuit of excellence, but the frantic avoidance of failure. It is the belief that if we can just be flawless, we can escape the pain of judgment and the sting of rejection. But in the quiet hours of the night, this architect becomes a tyrant. He reviews your day not for what was accomplished, but for the tiny cracks in the facade. He whispers that a good day is not enough, it had to be a perfect one. And so, you lie awake, trying to repair the invisible seams of a life that was never meant to be seamless. We treat our lives like a performance where the audience is always watching, waiting for us to stumble. We forget that we are the only ones keeping score. Perfectionism is a lonely game, it isolates us in a tower of our own high expectations. We look at others and see their highlights, their finished masterpieces, while we are intimately acquainted with our own messy sketches and erased lines. We fear that if we reveal our humanity, our tired eyes, our mistakes, our uncertainties, the world will turn away. But the truth is the opposite. Perfection is a wall, while vulnerability is a bridge. It is our cracks that allow the light to enter, and it is through our imperfections that we truly connect with one another. The philosopher Leonard Cohen once wrote, "There's a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in." Consider the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The break is not hidden, it is highlighted, transformed into the most beautiful part of the object. Your life is a vessel of kintsugi. The moments where you failed, the times you were not enough, the days you felt broken, these are not flaws to be scrubbed away by overthinking. They are the golden seams of your story. Why do you lie here trying to be a smooth, unbroken surface? The universe does not ask for perfection, it asks for presence. It asks for the courage to be a beautiful, messy, living work of art. Perfectionism is a form of procrastination. We think about the best way to do things so much that we never actually do them. We are so afraid of making the wrong choice that we make no choice at all, paralyzed by the infinite possibilities of failure. But life is not a math problem to be solved, it is a dance to be experienced. You cannot dance perfectly, you can only move with the music. When you overthink your movements, you lose the rhythm. Tonight, can you give yourself permission to be good enough? Can you accept that a day spent being human, with all its small errors and quiet triumphs, is a day well spent? The stars above are not arranged in perfect rows, yet they are magnificent. You are no different. Let go of the heavy mantle of the ideal self. That version of you who never gets tired, never says the wrong thing, and always knows what to do is a phantom. It is a ghost that haunts your bed, making the real you feel small. But the real you, the one who is tired, the one who is listening to these words, the one who is breathing right now, is far more precious than any ghost. The real you has a heart that beats, skin that feels, and a soul that yearns for rest. As you settle deeper into your pillow, imagine you are putting down a heavy suitcase full of shoulds. You don't need them where you're going. You are going into the dreamscape, where there are no grades, no gold stars, and no judgments. The night does not demand that you be anything other than what you are. The darkness does not judge the shape of the clouds or the height of the grass. It simply holds them. Let yourself be held by the night. Feel the tension in your jaw, your shoulders, and your hands begin to dissolve. These are the places where you hold your perfectionism, the physical grip of trying too hard. Release that grip. Let your body become heavy and soft. You have done enough today. You are enough today. The architect has gone home. The studio is quiet. The masterpiece is you, exactly as you are, resting in the dark. In the silence of your room, the walls often become mirrors reflecting the faces of everyone you have ever met. We carry within us a phantom audience, friends, strangers, family, even those we haven't spoken to in years. Overthinking at night is frequently a rehearsal for this audience. We replay a joke that didn't land, a comment that felt misunderstood, or a moment where we felt small. We are terrified of the judgment of others, not realizing that most people are far too busy tending to their own internal theater to truly critique ours. We are all protagonists in our own dramas, yet we spend our nights acting as background extras in the imagined lives of others. Jean-Paul Sartre once famously wrote, "Hell is other people." But perhaps the truer hell is the idea of other people that we keep in our heads. We give these mental statues the power to hurt us, to shame us, and to keep us awake. We obsess over our social identity, trying to polish a version of ourselves that exists only in the minds of others, a version we can never truly control. You are trying to manage a brand that doesn't belong to you. You are exhausted from trying to look into 1,000 different eyes to see if you are still okay. But the you they see is just a reflection of their own filters, their own biases, and their own bad days. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminded us that we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. This applies most poignantly to the opinions of others. If someone thinks poorly of you, that is their mental burden, not yours. It lives in their skull, not your heart. Why do we let the thoughts of another person, thoughts that are as fleeting as clouds, disturb the sanctuary of our sleep? You are not a character in their story, you are the author of your own. Tonight, imagine you are drawing a circle around your bed. Nothing that anyone thinks of you is allowed inside this circle. Here, their voices are muted. Here, you are just a soul, stripped of titles, reputations, and the need for approval. There is a profound freedom in being misunderstood. When we stop trying to explain ourselves to the world, we reclaim the energy we've been wasting on overthinking. Consider the moon. It does not care if the wolves howl at it or if the poets praise it. It does not change its shape to please the astronomer or the child. It simply follows its orbit, glowing with a borrowed light, silent and indifferent to the noise below. You have an inner orbit too. Your worth is not a democratic vote, it is a foundational fact. Whether they like you, hate you, or forget you, you still exist. You still have value. You are still whole. As you settle into the stillness, feel the social mask begin to slip away. It is heavy, made of lead and expectations. Let it fall to the floor. Underneath the mask is a face that doesn't need to smile for anyone. Underneath the reputation is a heart that just wants to rest. You are safe here because in the darkness, you are invisible. No one is watching. No one is judging. You are free to be tired. You are free to be uncertain. You are free to be nothing at all for a while. Let the opinions of the world drift away like the sound of a distant party you weren't invited to, and realize, with a sigh of relief, that you didn't want to go anyway. The most important relationship you will ever have is the one happening right now, in the quiet. It is the relationship between your mind and your breath. Listen to the soft sound of your inhalation. That is the sound of life affirming itself, regardless of what the world thinks. With every breath, you are coming home to yourself. The others have faded into the shadows of the night. Their voices are just echoes, losing power with every passing second. You are here. You are present. You are your own sanctuary. Close your eyes and let the world go about its business without you. It will be there in the morning, but for now, you belong only to yourself. Deep within the architecture of our psyche, there is a hall of mirrors we call the ego. It is the part of us that says I, the part that clings to a narrative of who we are supposed to be. But when the lights go out, the ego becomes a frantic librarian, trying to organize a library where the books are constantly changing titles. It fears the silence because, in the quiet, the boundary of the self begins to blur. Overthinking is often the ego's way of asserting its existence. It creates problems to solve just so it can feel necessary. It keeps the mind hyperactive because it is afraid that if the thinking stops, I might vanish into the vastness of the unconscious. Carl Jung, the explorer of the inner world, spoke of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we have pushed into the dark because they didn't fit our image of good or successful. When we lie awake, ruminating on our flaws, we are often standing at the edge of this shadow. We overthink because we are trying to keep the basement door locked. We analyze our behaviors and our thoughts, attempting to sanitize our soul. But the shadow is not an enemy, it is simply the unlit part of our house. The hyperactive mind is like a flashlight flickering nervously in a dark room, terrified of what the beam might land on. Jung suggested that we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The hyperactive mind is like a spinning top that has lost its center. It moves with incredible speed, but it goes nowhere. We find ourselves caught in meta-thinking, thinking about our thinking, worrying about our worrying. We wonder why we can't just be normal or peaceful, and that very wonder becomes a new layer of noise. This is the ego trying to fix itself with the same tools that broke it. You cannot use a hammer to heal a bruise. To quiet the mind, we must stop trying to quiet it and instead learn to step back from the machinery. You are not the engine, you are the one hearing the engine roar. Imagine your thoughts as a heavy fog rolling across a landscape. The ego wants to run into the fog and push the clouds away with its hands, an impossible task that only leaves us breathless. But there is another part of you, the observer, the self, that is like the mountain. The mountain does not care if it is covered in fog or bathed in sunlight. It remains rooted, ancient, and still. The fog of overthinking may hide the view for a while, but it can never change the mountain. Tonight, stop being the fog shifter. Become the mountain. Let the thoughts drift around you, through you, and past you. They are weather, you are the earth. In the depths of the night, the ego's voice begins to thin. It grows tired of its own stories. This is the moment where the unconscious begins to offer its gifts, not in the form of words or logic, but in symbols, feelings, and the strange logic of dreams. This is where healing happens, in the space where the eye lets go of the reins. To move from the hyperactive mind to the restful spirit, we must accept our own complexity. We must accept that we are both the light we show the world and the shadow we hide. In that acceptance, the need to overthink dissolves. There is nothing left to hide, and therefore nothing left to guard. As the weight of sleep begins to pull at your limbs, feel the ego retreating into the background. It is like a tired actor taking off his costume and sitting in the dark wings of the theater. The play is over for today. The script has been put away. There is no more need to maintain the identity of the one who knows or the one who struggles. You are drifting now into the collective ocean of the unconscious, where all the great thinkers and all the quiet souls have gone before you. You are part of something much larger than your own thoughts. You are a drop of water returning to the sea. Sink down. Let go. Be still. In the ancient world, the Stoics spoke of a place that no storm could reach, a sanctuary within the mind called the inner citadel. They understood that while we cannot control the winds of fate or the actions of others, we are the absolute sovereigns of our own inner response. Overthinking is the sound of the gates of that citadel rattling in the wind. We lie awake because we have left the gates open, allowing every stray worry and every distant thunderclap to echo through our halls. Tonight, we are going to learn how to close those gates. Not out of fear, but out of the realization that your peace is a sacred territory that must be guarded against the invasion of useless thought. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who ruled a world of chaos, would remind himself each morning, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If we spend our nights steeped in the gray hues of anxiety, our entire world begins to take on that shade. But the Stoics taught a powerful technique, the view from above. Imagine yourself rising up from your bed, floating above your house, your city, and eventually the entire earth. From this height, your overthinking looks like a tiny spark in a vast, dark forest. The problems that feel like mountains are revealed to be mere pebbles. In the grand tapestry of time and space, this moment of worry is a fleeting breath. Why give such a small thing the power to ruin your rest? There is a concept in Stoicism called amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is the radical act of saying yes to whatever life brings, even the difficult parts. Overthinking is usually a no. It is a refusal to accept what has happened or a desperate attempt to avoid what might happen. But when you embrace amor fati, the mental struggle ceases. You stop treating your life like a problem to be solved and start treating it like a story to be experienced. If the future brings challenge, you will meet it. If it brings joy, you will welcome it. By accepting all possibilities, you rob the what-ifs of their power. The mind becomes quiet when it no longer has anything to fight against. Consider the premeditatio malorum, the Stoic practice of imagining the worst-case scenario. It sounds like the opposite of relaxation, but for the overthinker, it is a medicine. Most of our anxiety thrives in the shadows of the vague. We fear a bad thing without ever looking at it. The Stoics tell us to bring that fear into the light. If the worst happens, could you survive it? Would you still have your character? Your breath? Your capacity to love? Almost always, the answer is yes. By looking the ghost in the eye, you realize it is made of smoke. You have survived everything life has thrown at you so far. Your track record for handling the worst is 100%. You can afford to put your armor down for the night. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want, but the ability to choose which thoughts you will entertain. As you lie here, you may notice thoughts knocking at the door of your citadel. You don't have to shout at them to go away, that only gives them energy. Simply acknowledge them and choose not to invite them in. Say to the thought, "I see you, but I do not need you right now." Return your focus to the weight of your body and the coolness of the air. You are the master of this space. You are the emperor of your own silence. The Stoic path leads to ataraxia, a state of serene calmness, a lucidity that remains undisturbed by the highs and lows of life. It is like the deep water of the ocean, which remains still even when a hurricane is churning the surface. Feel that ataraxia beginning to settle into your bones. It is a cold, clean peace. It tells you that for this moment, you have fulfilled your duty to the world. You have done what you could, and the rest is in the hands of the universe. The citadel is secure. The watchmen are at peace. You are free to descend into the deep, restorative dark of sleep. When we are lost in the labyrinth of our own thoughts, we often ask the question, why? Why did this happen? Why do I feel this way? But we search for the answer as if it were a mathematical proof, a logical conclusion that will finally let us rest. Viktor Frankl, a man who found light in the darkest corners of human history, suggested a shift in perspective. He believed that life does not ask us why. Instead, life is the one questioning us. Overthinking is often the sound of us avoiding the answer. We analyze the past and fear the future because we are afraid to face the responsibility of the present. But meaning is not something you find, it is something you create by how you respond to the moments that weigh the most. Frankl observed that those who survived the unimaginable were not necessarily the strongest or the most intelligent, but those who had a why to live for. They had a meaning that stretched beyond their current suffering. For the overthinker, our why often becomes blurred by the how. We worry about how we look, how we are performing, or how we are failing. We lose sight of the purpose. If your overthinking is a storm, your meaning is the anchor. It doesn't stop the storm, but it keeps the ship from being lost. Even in the middle of a sleepless night, there is meaning to be found. There is a purpose in this very struggle, in this very search for peace. There is a concept Frankl called paradoxical intention. He noticed that the more we desperately try to achieve something, like sleep or happiness, the more it eludes us. The harder you try to stop thinking, the louder the thoughts become. It is the hyper-reflection, the obsessive focus on the self, that creates the cage. Frankl's cure was to look outward, to find a reason to exist that is greater than our own comfort. Tonight, try to turn your gaze away from the self that is suffering. Think of a person you love, a task that awaits you with joy, or even the simple beauty of the world that will greet you tomorrow. By shifting the focus, the eye begins to relax, and the cage door swings open. We often think of our lives as a series of problems to be solved, but Frankl invites us to see life as a series of tasks to be completed. Even suffering, he argued, can be a task. To bear one's cross with dignity is a meaningful act. If you cannot sleep, do not treat it as a failure of your biology. Treat it as a moment of endurance. There is a quiet, heroic strength in lying still with your thoughts and refusing to let them embitter you. You are practicing the art of being human in a difficult moment. This patience, this willingness to stay present even when it is uncomfortable, is a profound contribution to your own soul. As you breathe, consider the words of Nietzsche that Frankl often quoted: "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your why does not have to be a grand destiny. It can be the way the morning light hits the floor. It can be the smell of coffee or the sound of a loved one's voice. These small meanings are the threads that weave the safety net of our lives. Overthinking tries to pull those threads apart, looking for flaws in the weave. But the net holds. It has held you through every dark night before this one, and it will hold you through this one too. You are part of a larger story, one that is still being written, and you are the one holding the pen. Let the search for answers end for tonight. You don't need to know the meaning of your whole life at 3 in the morning. You only need to know the meaning of this moment. And the meaning of this moment is rest. It is the task of closing the eyes, of trusting the heart to keep beating, and of allowing the mind to finally surrender its watch. You have searched, you have questioned, and you have survived. Now, the highest meaning you can fulfill is to simply be. Rest in the knowledge that you are needed by tomorrow, and tomorrow will arrive whether you think about it or not. Friedrich Nietzsche once spoke of a mountain that every soul must climb, the mountain of the self. For the overthinker, this climb is often circular. We find ourselves traversing the same rocky paths of doubt, looking down into the abysses we have already crossed. Nietzsche did not believe in a life free from tension. He believed that tension was the very string that allowed the bow to fire its arrow. Your overthinking, as exhausting as it is a sign of a mind that refuses to be shallow. It is a sign of a spirit that is wrestling with the gravity of existence. But even the strongest climber must find a ledge to rest upon. Tonight, we are not looking for an escape from the mountain, we are looking for the strength to stand upon it without trembling. Nietzsche warned us, "And if thou gaze long into an abyss, the abyss will also gaze into thee." When we overthink, we are often staring into the voids of our lives, the gaps between who we are and who we wish to be. We become mesmerized by the darkness, forgetting that we are the ones holding the light. The abyss is not a monster to be feared, it is simply the unformed potential of your own life. You are not falling, you are standing at the edge of your own becoming. The heaviness you feel tonight is the weight of great noon, the moment where you must decide if your suffering will be a burden that breaks you, or a hammer that forges you into something stronger. In the philosophy of the Übermensch, Nietzsche suggests that we must become the creators of our own values. Overthinking is often the result of living by values that aren't ours, trying to satisfy a ghost, a parent, or a society that doesn't understand our inner fire. We are caught in a slave morality of the mind, constantly asking permission to be happy or seeking a right answer that doesn't exist. Nietzsche's Dionysian spirit calls for an embrace of the chaos. It asks us to dance even on the edge of the precipice. Can you, for just one night, say yes to the chaos of your thoughts? Can you look at the storm in your mind and say, "This too is part of my power"? Consider the concept of eternal recurrence. Nietzsche asks, if a demon were to tell you that you had to live this exact life, with all its pains and midnight worries, over and over again for all eternity, would you fall down and curse him, or would you say he was a god? This is the ultimate test of the overthinker. If this night of thinking is to be repeated forever, how will you choose to experience it? Will you experience it as a victim of your own mind, or as a sovereign who accepts his restlessness with a smile of irony? When you accept the repetition, the struggle loses its sting. You are no longer fighting for an end, you are appreciating the texture of the journey. Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." Your hyperactive mind is that chaos. It is the raw material of your creativity and your depth. The world wants you to be a last man, comfortable, numb, and without longing. But you are restless because you are alive in a way many are not. As you lie here, do not try to extinguish the fire. Simply lower the flame. You are a creator resting before the next act of creation. The mountain is still there, and it will be there tomorrow. For now, let the climber sleep in the high altitude of his own soul, breathing the thin, cold air of freedom. Sleep is not a surrender to weakness, it is the will to power in repose. Even the sun must dip below the horizon to gather the strength to rise again. You have climbed far enough for today. Let the muscles of your mind relax. Let the eye that strives and argues and analyzes dissolve into the dark. You are becoming the star that is born from the chaos. With every slow breath, you are descending from the peaks into the valley of dreams, where the logic of the day cannot follow. You have conquered the mountain by choosing to leave it for a while. Rest, noble spirit. The dawn will find you stronger. We often talk about letting go as if it were a physical act of throwing something away, but in the realm of the mind, it is more like the act of unclenching a fist. When you have held onto a rope for too long, your muscles begin to cramp, the grip becomes automatic, a painful habit of the nerves. Overthinking is that white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel of life. We are afraid that if we let go, the car will veer off the road. But tonight, the car is parked. The engine is off. There is nowhere to go, yet your mind is still holding on with all its might. Letting go isn't about losing something, it's about realizing that there is nothing to hold on to in the first place. In Eastern philosophy, there is the concept of Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. It is the realization that the most powerful way to navigate a river is not to row against the current, but to align yourself with the flow of the water. We overthink because we believe that effort is the only way to solve problems. We think that if we are doing something, even if that something is just worrying, we are failing. But some things can only be solved by non-doing. Just as you cannot force a flower to bloom or a wound to heal, you cannot force your mind to be still. You must create the conditions for stillness and then get out of the way. Consider the Zeigarnik effect, a psychological phenomenon where our brains remember incomplete tasks better than completed ones. Your overthinking is often just a list of open loops, the brain's attempt to keep the light on for projects that haven't reached a conclusion. The mind is a perfectionist janitor who won't leave the building until every door is locked. But at night, you must grant yourself a temporary pardon. You must tell your mind that the office is closed. These loops do not need to be closed tonight, they only need to be acknowledged. Imagine a large, heavy book where you write down every to-do and every what-if, and then, with a slow and deliberate motion, you close the cover and walk away. Letting go is also a form of grieving. We overthink because we are mourning a version of reality that didn't happen, or we are trying to prevent a version of reality we fear. To let go is to accept the isness of the world. It is the amen at the end of a prayer. It is the acknowledgement that this breath, this room, this silence, is the only thing that is truly real. Everything else is a phantom. When you stop fighting for what should be, you finally have the energy to inhabit what is. And what is right now is a soft pillow, a warm bed, and a heart that is asking for permission to rest. Practice the art of the sacred exhale. As you breathe in, you take in the complexity of the world. As you breathe out, you release the need to understand it. Imagine the thoughts as stones you have been carrying in your pockets. One by one, in your mind's eye, take them out and set them on the ground. This stone is a worry about work. This stone is a regret about a friend. This stone is a fear of the unknown. See them sitting there on the earth, separate from you. They are not you. You are the one who is carrying them, and now you are the one who is walking away. Feel how light your steps become. Feel how high your chest rises when it is no longer compressed by the weight of the hidden stones. The final act of letting go is the surrender to sleep itself. Sleep is the ultimate unclenching. It is the moment where the ego finally admits it is not in charge. It is a daily practice for the end of life, a gentle reminder that the world can survive without our thoughts. As the darkness of sleep begins to rise like a tide, do not swim against it. Let it wash over your feet, your knees, your chest. Let it carry away the last fragments of this episode, the last echoes of these words. You have unclenched your mind. The rope is gone. You are floating now, weightless and free, in the vast, loving dark. In the theater of the mind, we are usually so captivated by the play that we forget we are sitting in the audience. We become the tragedy, the comedy, and the suspense. Overthinking is the result of being too close to the screen, so blinded by the flashing lights of our thoughts that we lose sight of the projector. Mindfulness is the simple act of leaning back in your seat. It is the realization that you are not the thoughts themselves, but the vast, silent space in which those thoughts appear and disappear. Tonight, we are not going to try and stop the movie, we are simply going to remember that we are the one watching it. By creating just a few inches of distance between the eye and the thought, the power of the overthinking mind begins to wither. Imagine your mind as a vast, nocturnal sky. Your thoughts are like clouds passing in front of the moon. Some are thin and wispy, barely noticeable. Others are thick, dark, and heavy with the threat of rain. When we overthink, we become obsessed with the clouds. We try to push them, pull them, or analyze their shapes until we are exhausted. But the sky does not struggle with the clouds. The sky does not feel judged by a storm or complimented by a sunset. It simply provides the space for the weather to exist. You are the sky. No matter how turbulent the thoughts feel right now, they cannot bruise the sky. They are temporary visitors. You are the permanent vastness. There is a profound silence that exists in the space between two thoughts. Usually, our thoughts are so crowded together, like commuters on a morning train, that we don't notice the gaps. But the gaps are there. If you watch closely, you will see a thought arise, linger for a moment, and then dissolve back into the void. Before the next one arrives, there is a split second of pure, unadulterated presence. This is the space between. It is a window into your true nature. As you lie here, try to notice the end of a thought. Don't go looking for the next one. Just rest in that tiny, quiet doorway. The more you notice the gaps, the wider they become, until the mind feels less like a crowded street and more like a peaceful cathedral. The observer's gaze is a gaze of radical non-judgment. We usually think about our thoughts. I shouldn't be thinking this, or why am I so anxious? This is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The observer, however, simply labels the experience. Thinking, planning, remembering, fearing. By naming the thought, you strip it of its mask. It is no longer an objective truth, it is just a mental event. It is a firing of neurons, a ripple in the water. When you label a thought, you are no longer a victim of it, you are a witness to it. And a witness cannot be controlled by what they see. As the body grows heavier, let your awareness settle into the breath. The breath is the ultimate anchor of the observer. It is happening right now, in the only moment that exists. Thoughts are almost always about the then or the there, but the breath is always here and now. Feel the cool air at the tip of your nose. Feel the slight rise of your chest. You don't need to change the rhythm, just watch it as if you were watching the tide come in and out on a dark beach. Each breath is a wave. Each exhale is a release. You are standing on the shore, safe and dry, watching the ocean of the mind do what it has always done, without needing to join the waves. The gaze of the observer is a gentle gaze. It does not glare, it glows. As you drift closer to the edge of sleep, let this soft awareness be the last thing you hold on to. You are the witness of your own relaxation. You are the witness of the fading light. The movie of the day is over. The credits have rolled. The projector is being turned off. You are the only one left in the theater, and the silence is beautiful. It is a silence that understands everything and judges nothing. In this space, there is no overthinker. There is only the peace of being. We live in an era where the world never sleeps, and because the world is always awake, we feel we must be too. We carry 1,000 voices in our pockets, a digital hum that follows us from the breakfast table to the pillow. Our minds have become like switchboards in a busy city, wires crossing, signals flashing, constantly processing information that was never meant for a single human soul to bear. Overthinking is often the residual noise of a hyperconnected world. We are trying to digest a day's worth of global tragedies, social comparisons, and endless pings in the silence of a single room. The mind is vibrating with the frequency of a million other lives, forgetting how to tune back into its own quiet frequency. There is a specific exhaustion that comes from the infinite scroll. We have trained our brains to seek the next spark of dopamine, the next piece of data, the next potential threat. When we finally put the screen away, the momentum of that search continues. The mind keeps scrolling through its own memories and anxieties because it has forgotten how to stop at the end of a page. We are overstimulated and undernourished. We have a wealth of information but a poverty of reflection. Tonight, acknowledge that your hyperactivity is not a character flaw, it is a symptom of a world that demands your attention as its primary currency. You are reclaiming your gold by refusing to spend it tonight. The philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." In our modern world, we are rarely truly alone, we are accompanied by the ghosts of the internet. We overthink because we are comparing our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. We judge our internal mess against their external polish. But in the dark of this hour, the connection is severed. The satellites are out of reach. The servers do not know your name. You are finally, mercifully, disconnected. This silence is not a void, it is a recovery. It is the sound of your nervous system finally beginning to recalibrate to the slow, natural pulse of the earth. Imagine your mind as a glass of water filled with silt. All day long, the world has been stirring that glass, keeping the sediment in constant motion, making the water cloudy and dark. Overthinking is the act of trying to reach into the glass to pull the dirt out with your fingers, but that only stirs it more. The only way to see clearly, the only way to find peace, is to set the glass down and leave it alone. If you simply wait, gravity will do the work. The silt will settle. The water will become clear. You don't need to fix your thoughts, you only need to stop stirring them. Let the momentum of the day die down of its own accord. There is a beauty in being out of the loop. There is a power in not knowing what is happening elsewhere. For these few hours, you are the only person who exists in your universe. The news will wait. The emails will remain in the ether. The opinions of the masses are irrelevant. You are returning to a state of primal solitude, the same solitude experienced by our ancestors who looked at the same moon and felt the same cooling of the air. Feel the tension in your forehead and eyes, the screen tension, begin to melt. You are looking into the soft darkness now, a darkness that asks nothing of you and provides everything you need. As you drift closer to sleep, visualize yourself unplugging a glowing cord from the back of your mind. See the light in the cord fade to black. The connection is gone. You are no longer part of the network, you are a singular, quiet soul. The loud world has been reduced to a whisper, and then to a silence. Your mind is no longer a switchboard, it is a dark, still garden. The flowers do not need to be checked. The paths do not need to be paved. You are safe in your own isolation. Sleep now, in the luxury of being completely, beautifully alone. In the theater of our own minds, we are both the performer and the most ruthless critic in the front row. We spend our days polishing an image of who we think we should be, curated for a world that is constantly watching. But when the sun dips below the horizon and the audience goes home, we are left alone with the costume. Overthinking at this hour is often the ego standing before a dark mirror, obsessively adjusting a mask that no longer needs to be worn. We ask ourselves, am I enough? Did they see me the way I want to be seen? We are terrified that if we stop performing, we will cease to exist. But tonight, the mirror is covered. The lights are out. You are not your name, your job, or your reputation. You are the quiet pulse beneath it all. Carl Jung once spoke of the persona, the Greek word for mask. It is a necessary tool for moving through society, but it becomes a prison when we forget we are wearing it. When you lie awake, you are often arguing on behalf of your mask. You are defending a version of yourself that is purely conceptual. You worry about a slight to your honor, a bruise to your ego, or a mistake that threatens your identity. But consider this, the part of you that is worried is not the true you. The true you is the one observing the worry. The mask is heavy, and you have been wearing it for 16 hours. Can you feel the phantom weight of it on your face? It is time to unhook the straps. The ego is a creature of comparison. It thrives on being more or less than someone else. It is a hunger that can never be satisfied because there is always another mirror to look into, another person to surpass. Overthinking is the ego's way of fixing its ranking in the world. But in the landscape of sleep, rankings do not exist. The king and the beggar dream in the same darkness. The most successful person and the one who feels they have failed are equals in the eyes of the night. Release the need to be someone. There is a profound, holy relief in being no one for a while. To be no one is to be everywhere. It is to be free from the gravity of a single, small identity. Think of a mountain stream. The water is clear, cold, and constantly moving. It does not try to be a stream. It doesn't worry if it is flowing fast enough or if the rocks think it is beautiful. It simply follows the path of least resistance. Your identity is like that water, fluid, changing, and impossible to grasp. When you try to think your identity into a solid shape, you are trying to freeze the stream. You are creating ice that traps you. Let yourself be fluid tonight. You do not need to be the smart one, the reliable one, or the one who has it all together. You are allowed to be a mystery, even to yourself. You are allowed to be a flow of sensations without a label. As you settle deeper into the stillness, imagine your name dissolving. See the letters of your name drifting away like smoke in a night breeze. See your job title, your history, and your plans for tomorrow all fading into a soft, gray mist. What remains when all the labels are gone? There is a presence here, a warmth, a breath, a sense of I am that doesn't need a because. This is your essential self. It is older than your memories and deeper than your fears. It is not afraid of judgment because it is not made of anything that can be judged. It is the silent witness that has been with you since your first breath, and it is waiting to guide you into the dream. The mirror of the ego has been put away. The identity is resting on a chair like a discarded coat. You are weightless now. The need to be seen has been replaced by the peace of simply being. In the eyes of the universe, you are a masterpiece of biology and stardust, and you require no further proof of your worth. The struggle to maintain the self is over for today. The night accepts you exactly as you are, without your mask, without your story, without your defenses. Sleep in the freedom of your own anonymity. You are home. Deep within the ancient structures of your brain, there is a sentinel that never truly sleeps. It is the amygdala, a primal architect that designed our survival long before we had words for stress or deadlines. This architect does not speak in logic, it speaks in sparks, in heat, and in the sudden tightening of the chest. Overthinking is the sound of this alarm system echoing through the modern corridors of your life. It treats a forgotten email like a predator in the tall grass. It treats a social rejection like a threat to your very existence. Tonight, we must realize that the alarm is not the fire. The noise you hear in your head is just an old machine trying to keep you safe in a world it doesn't fully understand. Anxiety often builds a house of what-ifs. Each thought is a brick, and each worry is the mortar that holds it together. We spend our nights wandering through these imaginary rooms, checking the locks on doors that don't exist. We are trying to solve a future that hasn't arrived with a body that is currently safe in bed. This is the generalization of fear. The mind takes a single spark of uncertainty and builds a cathedral of catastrophe around it. But look at your surroundings right now. The walls are solid. The air is still. The catastrophe is only a blueprint in your mind, and you are the only one holding it. You have the power to stop building. In psychology, we speak of the cognitive distortion, the way the mind bends reality to fit its fears. We catastrophize, imagining the worst possible outcome as the most likely one. We filter, seeing only the mistakes and ignoring the mountain of things we did right. These are the tools of the anxious architect. But tonight, we can practice cognitive reframing. Instead of seeing your racing heart as a sign of danger, see it as a sign of energy that has nowhere to go. Instead of seeing the thoughts as threats, see them as junk mail, unsolicited, repetitive, and ready to be discarded. You don't have to open every envelope the mind sends you. The body has its own wisdom, a way of grounding the architecture of the mind. When the thoughts become a skyscraper, return to the basement, to the soles of your feet, the weight of your hips, the rhythm of your belly. Anxiety is a vertical climb into the clouds of the future, but peace is a horizontal expansion into the present moment. Feel the gravity of the earth pulling at you. Gravity is the ultimate truth. It doesn't care about your plans or your mistakes, it simply holds you to the planet. Let your muscles mimic the heaviness of stone. A stone does not worry about tomorrow. It simply sits, enduring and silent, letting the weather pass over it. Imagine your anxiety as a frightened child living inside this grand architecture. The child is shouting because it wants to be heard, because it thinks something is wrong. You cannot quiet the child by shouting back or by trying to lock it in a room. You quiet the child by sitting next to it. By saying, "I hear you. I see that you are afraid. But we are safe right now." When you offer compassion to your own anxiety, the architecture begins to soften. The walls of the what-if house start to dissolve. The alarm bell stops ringing. You are not fighting your nature, you are comforting it. As you drift, the blueprints of the day are being folded up and put away. The sentinel in your brain is finally lowering its spear. The architecture of anxiety is being replaced by the architecture of dreams, fluid, illogical, and vast. There is nothing left to guard. The night has taken over the watch. You are no longer the builder or the guard, you are the guest. Let the structures of the day crumble into the dark. They were never as solid as they seemed. Beneath the ruins of your worries, there is a foundation of peace that has always been there, waiting for the noise to stop. In the modern world, we have enslaved ourselves to the ticking of the clock. We treat time as a linear resource, a narrow track where we are always running, always behind, always trying to catch a train that has already left the station. Overthinking is the mind's attempt to manipulate this timeline. We try to stretch the past to fix it, or we try to leap into the future to control it. But at night, the clock becomes a haunting presence. Every second that passes feels like a loss, a grain of sand slipping through our fingers that we can never reclaim. Tonight, we must realize that the clock is a human invention, a grid we have laid over the infinite. Here, in the dark, time is not a line. It is an ocean. And you are finally allowed to stop running and simply float. The Greeks had two words for time, chronos and kairos. Chronos is the time of the watch, the relentless, sequential march of minutes. This is the time that causes us anxiety, the time that tells us we are too old, too late, or not doing enough. But Kairos is the time of the soul. It is the opportune moment, the thickness of the present, the time that exists when you are so immersed in a sunset or a breath that the world disappears. When you lie awake overthinking, you are trapped in Chronos. You are counting the hours until the alarm rings. But sleep belongs to Kairos. To enter it, you must stop measuring the duration and start inhabiting the depth. There is no late in the kingdom of rest. Consider the time traveler's fallacy. We overthink because we believe that our mental presence in the future actually changes the future. We think that by worrying at 3 a.m., we are somehow working on 9 a.m. But you are not there yet. You are sending your energy into a void where it has no hands to move objects and no voice to speak words. You are exhausting the you of now to pay a debt for a you that hasn't been born yet. Imagine the relief of declaring bankruptcy on the future. Let the version of you who exists tomorrow handle the troubles of tomorrow. That person will have the daylight, the coffee, and the strength of a new day. You, right now, have only the night. And the night's only requirement is that you exist. In the natural world, nothing is hurried, yet everything is accomplished. The oak tree does not worry about how fast it grows, the moon does not rush its phases to meet a deadline. They move in deep time. Deep time is the rhythm of the tides, the slow shift of tectonic plates, the silent breathing of the forest. When you overthink, your internal clock is spinning too fast, out of sync with the world. To find peace, you must downshift. Match your heartbeat to the slower pulse of the room. Realize that this hour of wakefulness is not a waste. It is simply time. It is a portion of your life that is happening right now. Don't fight it. Let the minutes dissolve into the darkness like ink in water. As you settle deeper, imagine the numbers on the clock face beginning to melt and slide away. The hands of the clock soften until they are like blades of grass swaying in a gentle wind. There is no morning. There is no yesterday. There is only this singular, expanding moment. You are falling out of the world of schedules and into the world of being. In this space, 5 minutes is the same as 5 centuries. You are safe because you have stepped off the treadmill. You are no longer waiting for sleep, you are simply existing in the dark. And in that simple existence, the pressure of time evaporates, leaving you light, buoyant, and ready to drift. The flow of time is now a gentle current, carrying you away from the shore of the conscious world. You don't need to check the time because the time is now, and now is a place of absolute safety. The sun is far away, on the other side of the world, and it is not your concern. Your only duty is to let the current take you. Feel the boundaries of your body softening as you merge with the slow, steady rhythm of the night. You are untimed. You are unhurried. You are infinite. Close your eyes and let the ocean of Kairos swallow the last ticking of the mind. In our daily lives, silence is often treated as a void to be filled, an uncomfortable gap that must be bridged with music, conversation, or the glowing static of a screen. We have become afraid of the nothing, fearing that if the noise stops, we will be forced to face ourselves. But silence is not an empty vessel, it is a full one. It is the original language of the universe, the canvas upon which all sound is painted. When you lie awake, the silence of the room can feel heavy, even predatory. Your mind rushes to fill it with overthinking, creating a mental noise to drown out the stillness. But tonight, we are going to change our relationship with the quiet. We are going to stop seeing silence as a threat and start seeing it as a gift, a cool, dark balm for a world that has been screaming for too long. The philosopher Blaise Pascal suggested that our inability to handle silence is the root of our restlessness. We overthink because the void feels like an absence of life, but in truth, silence is the presence of potential. Think of the silence before a great symphony begins, or the silence of a forest before the first bird sings at dawn. This is a pregnant silence, heavy with the possibility of everything. Your overthinking is just a nervous reaction to the vastness of your own inner space. You are like a traveler standing at the edge of a great canyon, shouting into the dark just to hear your own voice. But what if you stopped shouting? What if you listened to the echo of the stillness itself? In the depths of silence, the ego begins to starve. The ego needs feedback, noise, and affirmation to maintain its shape. Without the friction of the world, it begins to dissolve. This is why the hyperactive mind creates inner drama. It is trying to keep the ego fed. But beneath the drama, there is a basic silence that has never been disturbed. It is the silence that was there before you were born and will be there after you are gone. It is a fundamental part of who you are. When you stop thinking, you aren't becoming nothing, you are returning to that indestructible foundation. You are coming home to the part of yourself that doesn't need words to exist. Let the silence of the room enter your body. Imagine it as a soft, gray mist flowing in through the windows, settling over your blankets, and moving into your lungs with every breath. This mist is cool and soothing. It numbs the jagged edges of your worries. As it fills your mind, the voices of your thoughts grow muffled, as if they are speaking from behind a thick velvet curtain. You can see the thoughts moving, but you can no longer hear their demands. The void is not swallowing you, it is holding you. It is a gravity-free environment where the weight of being a person is finally lifted. In the silence, you are weightless. There is a beauty in the unspoken. Every great poem, every profound realization, and every deep love begins in silence. By embracing the quiet tonight, you are clearing the ground for new growth. You are giving your soul the space it needs to breathe without the interference of the intellect. The mind is a loud neighbor, but the spirit is a quiet guest. Tonight, let the neighbor go to sleep. Let the guest sit in the darkness of your heart and simply look out at the stars. You don't need to name the stars. You don't need to calculate their distance. You only need to be there with them in the shared language of the unspoken. As you drift, the silence becomes a bridge. It is a bridge between the world of forms and the world of dreams. On this bridge, there is no noise, no friction, and no effort. You are crossing over into the great quiet, where all the overthinking of the human race eventually goes to rest. Feel the static in your nerves finally go flat. The signal has ended. The broadcast is over. There is only the hum of the universe, a low, vibrationless frequency that sounds like peace. You are the silence. You are the gift. Sleep in the absolute, beautiful nothingness. In the pursuit of peace, we often become our own harshest wardens. We grow angry with our minds for not being quiet. We feel a sense of failure because we cannot simply turn it off. But this anger is just more noise, a secondary layer of overthinking that judges the first. Tonight, we must change our tone. Instead of fighting the overthinker within you, try to look upon them with the eyes of a compassionate stranger. This part of you that stays awake is not an enemy, it is a weary, frightened protector. It is the part of you that has taken on the weight of the world and is exhausted by the burden. Before you can find sleep, you must first offer yourself forgiveness for being awake. Think of the immense pressure you place upon your own shoulders. You demand that you be perfect, that you anticipate every catastrophe, and that you never make a mistake that might lead to regret. It is no wonder the mind is hyperactive. It is working a job that is impossible for any human to perform. Forgive yourself for not being a machine. Forgive yourself for having a heart that reacts to the world, and a mind that tries, however clumsily, to keep that heart safe. Your overthinking is a form of distorted love. It is your soul's way of trying to care for a life it finds precious. Acknowledge that effort, and then, gently tell that part of you that it can finally take its break. The Buddhist concept of metta, or loving kindness, begins with the self. We are often taught that self-criticism is the path to growth, but in the middle of the night, it is only the path to paralysis. You cannot hate yourself into a state of tranquility. Peace is a flower that only grows in the soil of acceptance. As you lie there, try to send a wave of warmth to the parts of you that feel too much. Send it to your racing heart, send it to your tight jaw, send it to the thoughts that keep looping like a broken record. You are a biological being, sensitive and fragile, living in a complex age. It is okay to find it difficult. It is okay to be tired of your own mind. Imagine you are sitting across from a version of yourself that is 10 years younger. If that version of you came to you tonight, trembling with these same worries, would you scold them? Would you tell them they are failing because they can't sleep? Or would you put a hand on their shoulder and tell them that it's going to be all right? You deserve that same mercy now. You are still that person, growing, learning, and doing the best you can with the tools you have. The mistakes you ruminate on were just lessons you hadn't learned yet. Give yourself the grace of being a work in progress. The night is long enough for both your thoughts and your self-forgiveness. Let the self-critic dissolve into the shadows. He is a ghost made of old expectations and borrowed judgments. He has no place in this bed. Replace his voice with the steady, rhythmic sound of your own breathing. Each inhale is an act of self-sustenance, each exhale is an act of letting go. You are nourishing yourself with every breath. You are proving, in the most basic way, that you are worthy of existing, regardless of what you achieve today or what you must face tomorrow. You are a miracle of consciousness, and even your overthinking is a testament to the depth of your inner world. Rest in that depth. As you close your eyes, say to yourself, it is okay to rest. I am safe. I am forgiven. Feel the tension of trying to leave your body. You are not a problem to be solved, you are a person to be cared for. The night is a blanket, and the silence is a lullaby. Let the compassion you found tonight be the pillow upon which you lay your head. The world will still be there in the morning, but you will meet it as a friend to yourself, not an enemy. Sink down into the soft, forgiving dark. You are home, and all is well. The mind is a wanderer, a traveler that can leap across oceans and decades in a single heartbeat. But while the mind is lost in the there and then, the body is always, stubbornly, in the here and now. Overthinking is a form of vertigo, a disconnection where the head spins in the clouds while the feet forget the earth. Tonight, we are going to reclaim the body. We are going to treat the physical self not as a mere vessel for the brain, but as an ancient, wise anchor. Your body knows how to heal, how to breathe, and how to sleep without being told. It is the mind that has forgotten. By shifting our attention from the abstract to the tangible, we ground the electricity of our thoughts and allow the current to flow safely into the ground. Begin to notice the weight of your own existence. Feel where your body meets the bed, the heels of your feet, the curve of your calves, the heavy expanse of your back. This is gravity, the silent conversation between you and the planet. Gravity is the ultimate truth. It is a force that requires no thought to operate. As you focus on these points of contact, the mental world begins to feel less solid. You are not a collection of worries, you are a physical presence occupying space. Let the bed carry you. Stop trying to hold yourself up with your nerves. Trust that the earth is strong enough to take your weight, and your worries, and your weariness all at once. The body carries the history of our stress in small, hidden places. Notice your jaw. Is it clenched as if you were preparing for an argument? Notice your shoulders. Are they pulled high toward your ears like a shield? These are the physical echoes of overthinking. When the mind is a storm, the body becomes a fortress. But the siege is over. Release the hinge of your jaw. Let your tongue drop away from the roof of your mouth. Feel your shoulders melt into the mattress like wax near a flame. As the muscles let go, they send a signal back to the brain, the danger has passed. We are safe. You can stop the watch. The breath is the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. It is the only vital function that happens both automatically and by our own will. When we overthink, our breath becomes shallow and high in the chest, the breathing of a hunter or the hunted. But deep, abdominal breathing is the language of peace. Imagine a balloon in your belly, inflating slowly with a cool, blue light as you inhale, and deflating as you exhale. With every breath, you are massaging the nervous system. You are telling the ancient parts of your brain that the world is quiet. You are breathing in the stillness of the room and exhaling the static of the day. There is a profound intelligence in your cells. Every second, without your permission, your heart beats, your blood flows, and your skin renews itself. This body wisdom is much more powerful than your brain wisdom. The body does not overthink, it simply exists and persists. Tonight, let your consciousness descend from the noisy attic of the mind and move into the quiet rooms of the body. Feel the warmth in your palms. Feel the slight pulse in your fingertips. You are a living, breathing miracle of biological harmony. When you inhabit the body, the what-ifs of the mind lose their volume. They cannot survive in the presence of such solid, physical reality. As the edges of your physical form begin to blur into the softness of the bed, the distinction between me and the room starts to fade. You are becoming a slow-moving tide. The heaviness in your limbs is a gift, it is the signature of the body preparing to dream. You have returned from the labyrinth of thought to the sanctuary of the flesh. The mind is finally quiet because it has nothing left to do. The body has taken over. It is guiding you now, down a long, dark corridor toward a deep and restorative rest. Trust your blood. Trust your bones. Trust the dark. The future is a vast, unwritten territory, and to the overthinking mind, it appears as a landscape of shadows. We treat the unknown as if it were synonymous with danger, forgetting that the unknown is also the birthplace of every joy, every surprise, and every breakthrough we have ever experienced. When you lie awake, you are trying to shine a tiny flashlight into a dark abyss, hoping to see the bottom. But the abyss is infinite, and your light is small. Overthinking the future is like trying to read a book that hasn't been printed yet. You are staring at blank pages and imagining tragedies written in invisible ink. Tonight, we must learn to be comfortable with the darkness of the not yet. Fear of the unknown is often a fear of our own projected insecurities. We don't actually fear the future, we fear that the future version of ourselves will be unable to cope. We assume we will be as tired, as stressed, and as overwhelmed then as we are right now. But you are forgetting the law of presence. When the future arrives, it will not be the future, it will be the now. And just as you are breathing through this moment, you will breathe through that one. The strength you need for tomorrow cannot be found tonight, it is generated in the moment of the challenge. To worry is to pay interest on a loan you haven't even taken out yet. Consider the wisdom of the fog. When you drive through a thick mist, you cannot see your destination, but you can see the next 10 feet of road. And that is enough. You do not need to see the whole journey to make progress, you only need to navigate the small circle of light where you currently stand. Overthinking is the attempt to see the entire map at once, but life only reveals itself 1 mile at a time. Tonight, your next 10 feet are simple, the sensation of the pillow, the rhythm of the breath, the warmth of the room. The rest of the road is shrouded in a merciful darkness. Let it stay hidden. It is not your task to solve the horizon. The philosopher Alan Watts spoke of the wisdom of insecurity. He suggested that the search for total security is a trap, because life is fundamentally a state of flux. To be alive is to be in motion, and motion is always toward the unknown. When we try to think our way into certainty, we are trying to stop the flow of the universe. It is like trying to wrap water in a ribbon. True peace comes when we stop demanding that the future explain itself. Can you find a strange thrill in the mystery? Can you accept that not knowing is the highest form of freedom? If everything were certain, there would be no room for hope. Imagine your future as a dark forest, but instead of seeing it as a place of wolves, see it as a place of hidden treasures. Every person you will love, every moment of laughter, and every quiet morning of peace is currently waiting for you in that darkness. By overthinking, you are only looking for the thorns, forgetting that the roses are there too. Let the future be a secret for now. Like a gift that is wrapped in black velvet, it is waiting for its proper time to be opened. You don't need to peek. You don't need to guess. You can trust that the universe has a rhythm, and you are part of that music. As you drift closer to the threshold of dreams, the future dissolves entirely. In the world of sleep, there is no tomorrow. There is only the eternal present of the dreamscape. Feel the relief of being finished with the what-ifs. The shadow of the future has been chased away by the encroaching light of the eternal stars. You are safe. You are held. The unknown is not a monster, it is the soft, dark bed of the universe. Fall into it. Let the mystery carry you. The dawn will take care of itself. We are taught from a young age that a good life is an orderly one. We strive for symmetry, for clean lines, and for a narrative that makes sense from beginning to end. Overthinking is the mind's desperate attempt to tidy up the inherent messiness of existence. We treat our thoughts like a disorganized room, trying to force every doubt and every stray emotion into a neatly labeled box. But life is not a museum, it is a wild, overgrown garden. It is chaotic, unpredictable, and brilliantly messy. Tonight, we are going to stop trying to organize the wind. We are going to listen to the lullaby of chaos, the realization that you don't need to be sorted to be at peace. You are allowed to be a beautiful work in progress, even in the middle of the night. Consider the nature of a storm. From the perspective of a single leaf, the wind is terrifying and senseless. But from the perspective of the forest, the storm is a renewal. It clears away the dead wood and brings the rain that sustains life. Your overthinking is a mental storm, and for too long, you have been trying to be the leaf, fighting to stay still. What if you became the forest? A forest doesn't apologize for its thorns, its rotting logs, or its tangled roots. It accepts the chaos as part of its majesty. Your mind is allowed to be complicated. Your life is allowed to have loose ends. The mess is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of vitality. The obsession with fixing everything is the ultimate thief of rest. We lie awake because we believe that if we just find the right solution, the chaos will stop. But there is no final solution to being human. We are a collection of contradictions. We seek safety but crave adventure. We want love but fear intimacy. These contradictions are not bugs in the system, they are the system itself. Like the friction of a bow against a violin string, it is the tension that creates the music. If you smooth out all the wrinkles of your soul, there would be no depth left. Embrace the friction. Love the wrinkles. They are the evidence that you have truly lived. There is a profound freedom in the phrase, "It is what it is." This is not a statement of defeat, but an act of radical acceptance. When you stop fighting the chaos loses its teeth. Imagine your worries as a tangled ball of yarn. The more you pull at the threads, the tighter the knots become. But what happens if you just set the yarn down? The knots are still there, but they are no longer an emergency. You can sleep next to a tangled knot. You can rest even when things are unresolved. The universe is billions of years old and perfectly comfortable with chaos. You can afford to let your small corner of it be messy for one night. As the night deepens, let the need for clarity dissolve. Clarity is a sunlit virtue, but the night belongs to the shadows and the blur. Feel the boundaries of your problems softening. In the darkness, the mess of your life doesn't look like a disaster, it looks like a landscape. The hills and valleys of your experiences are what make the view interesting. You don't need to have the answers tonight. You don't even need to know the questions. You only need to exist in the middle of the beautiful, swirling mystery of your own consciousness. Like a child falling asleep in a moving car, trust the driver even if you don't know the route. The lullaby of chaos is a low, humming frequency. It tells you that you are safe in the middle of a whirl. Your bed is a steady raft on a turbulent but benevolent sea. As you drift, let the last of your to-do lists and should-haves blow away like dust in the wind. You are not responsible for the order of the world tonight. You are only responsible for your own surrender. The chaos is singing you to sleep, promising you that tomorrow will be a new day of beautiful, unpredictable mess. Close your eyes. The tangles are resting. The knots are quiet. Fall into the deep, dark heart of the mystery. As the conscious mind begins to retreat, we stand at the threshold of a great transformation. Throughout the day, we have treated our thoughts as lead, heavy, dull, and burdensome. But as the veil between wakefulness and sleep thins, we enter the realm of the alchemist. Here, the rigid logic of the problem-solving mind begins to melt. The worries that felt like iron bars at noon start to shimmer and bend, losing their fixed shapes. We are moving from the world of fact into the world of symbol. This is the first step of the alchemy, recognizing that your overthinking is merely raw material. It is the leaden weight of the day waiting to be heated by the fire of the unconscious, until it turns into the gold of insight or the mercury of a dream. In the logic of a dream, a wall is never just a wall, it is a boundary of the soul. A storm is never just weather, it is the movement of suppressed emotion. When we overthink, we are like people trying to eat the menu instead of the meal. We focus on the words and the literal fears, forgetting that our mind speaks in the language of wonder. What if your anxiety about the future is actually a misplaced sense of awe at the vastness of life? What if your rumination on the past is a deep, unacknowledged reverence for the lessons you've survived? Alchemy is the art of changing the meaning of the substance. Tonight, we take the heavy lead of worry and we relabel it as wonder. Dreams are the laboratory where the soul processes what the ego cannot handle. While you sleep, your mind will perform 1,000 small miracles of integration. It will take the jagged fragments of your day and weave them into a tapestry that makes sense to the heart, even if it defies the head. You do not need to think during this process. In fact, the thinking only gets in the way of the work. You are the vessel, not the chemist. Trust the heat of the night to break down your defenses. Trust the darkness to dissolve the knots. The problems you are trying to solve with logic will be solved by the silent alchemy of your own rest. The poet Rilke once wrote, "You must give birth to your images. They are the future, waiting to be born." Overthinking is the sound of an image that is stuck, a dream that cannot quite break through the surface of the intellect. As you relax your grip, feel the stuckness begin to ease. Your worries are starting to lose their sharp edges, they are becoming fluid, abstract, and strangely beautiful. The fear of failure is becoming a dark forest of curiosity. The need for control is becoming a vast, open ocean. This is the alchemy of the night. It turns your fears into a landscape you can explore, rather than a cage you must inhabit. As you descend further, let the logic of the day fall away like dry scales. You are entering a space where you can fly without wings and speak without words. In this state of wonder, the weight of being the overthinker is impossible to maintain. You are becoming a dreamer, a shapeshifter, a traveler of the inner dimensions. Every breath is a bellows, fanning the embers of your imagination. The lead has been left behind on the shore of the waking world. You are carrying only the gold of your own essence into the deep. Feel the warmth of this transformation in your chest, a soft, glowing core of peace that remains untouched by the chaos of the mind. The work of the day is done. The alchemist is finished for the night. The fires have been banked, and the lab is quiet. What remains is the pure, distilled essence of you, unburdened, light, and full of wonder. The transition is complete. You are no longer thinking, you are dreaming. You are no longer worried, you are curious. You are no longer heavy, you are gold. Let the final embers of thought fade into the black velvet of the unconscious. You are moving into a world where everything is possible and nothing is required. Sleep now, in the heart of the wonder. Deep within your DNA, there is a memory of a time before cities, before clocks, and before the relentless static of the information age. It is the memory of the ancient forest, a world governed not by logic, but by the slow, rhythmic pulse of the earth. We overthink because we have moved our lives indoors, into a world of sharp corners and artificial light, where the mind feels it must be the sole architect of its own safety. But your body hasn't forgotten the forest. It hasn't forgotten the safety of the dark or the companionship of the wind. Tonight, we are leaving the house of the ego. We are stepping back into the primal shadows, returning to a root system of peace that has sustained our ancestors for 10,000 years. In the forest, nothing is wrong. A fallen tree is not a failure, it is a nursery for new life. A storm is not a disaster, it is a drink for the thirsty soil. When we overthink, we are judging our lives by a standard that doesn't exist in nature. We demand constant growth, constant sun, and constant clarity. But the forest knows the necessity of the dormant season. It knows the value of the rot and the shadow. As you lie here, imagine your thoughts as the leaf litter on the forest floor. Let them decay. Let them turn into the rich, dark compost of your experience. You don't need to clean up your mind. You only need to let it be natural. Listen to the sounds of the night woods. The distant hoot of an owl, the rustle of a small creature in the brush, the low groan of a branch in the wind. These sounds are not problems to be solved, they are the texture of existence. To our ancestors, these sounds were a lullaby, proof that the world was alive and that they were part of a larger, breathing whole. Your overthinking is a survival instinct that has lost its context. It is looking for a predator that isn't there. Replace that threat scanning with connection scanning. Feel the invisible threads that tie you to the air, to the gravity, and to the living world outside your window. You are not alone in a room, you are a cell in the body of the earth. Imagine yourself leaning back against the trunk of a great oak. Feel the roughness of the bark against your spine. This tree has stood for centuries. It has endured droughts, fires, and bitter winters, yet it does not overthink its survival. It simply reaches deep into the dark earth and high into the dark sky. Let your consciousness flow down into the roots. Feel the coolness of the soil. Feel the stillness of the stone. In the forest, time moves in rings, not in seconds. The urgency of your day is a flicker of light, the peace of the wood is an eternal flame. Breathe with the trees, slow, deep, and unhurried. There is a primal safety in the darkness. To the overthinker, the dark is a screen for projection, but to the forest dweller, the dark is a blanket. It is the womb of the world where all things go to be renewed. Stop trying to see your way through the night. Trust your other senses. Trust the weight of your limbs, the warmth of your breath, and the intuitive knowing of your heart. You are a creature of the wild, and the wild knows how to rest. You are being cradled by the same forces that guide the stars and pull the tides. You don't need to hold yourself together, the forest is holding you. The canopy of the ancient forest is closing over you now, shielding you from the noise of the modern world. The connected mind is fading, replaced by the rooted soul. You are sinking into the cool, dark loam of sleep. Your worries have become the soft rustle of leaves in a distant wind, meaningless, beautiful, and far away. You have returned to the source. You have found your roots. The forest is quiet. The forest is deep. And you are finally, naturally, at rest. When we overthink, our world shrinks until it is the size of our own skull. We become trapped in a small, windowless room where our problems loom like giants. But tonight, we are going to break the walls down. We are going to look up. Above your roof, above the clouds, and above the atmosphere, there is a silence so vast it has no name. The stars have been burning for billions of years, indifferent to the deadlines, the misunderstandings, and the anxieties of human life. This is not a cold indifference, but a liberating one. In the cosmic scale, your greatest worry is smaller than a grain of sand on a beach that stretches for light years. To see this is not to feel insignificant, but to feel the immense relief of being part of something so large that it cannot be broken by your mistakes. Consider the starlight hitting your eyes right now. Some of those photons began their journey before the first human ever walked the earth. They have traveled through the freezing vacuum of space, across the birth and death of nebulae, just to land on you. You are a witness to the history of the universe. When you ruminate on a conversation from yesterday or a task for tomorrow, you are trying to hold onto a flickering candle in the middle of a supernova. Let the scale of the cosmos wash over you. There is a perspective of the stars that turns our mountains back into molehills. You are a passenger on a blue marble spinning through the infinite. Why spend the journey staring at the floor? Astronauts often speak of the overview effect, a cognitive shift that happens when they see the Earth from space. They see a world without borders, a fragile, beautiful oasis protected by a thin ribbon of blue. From that height, the important arguments and the crushing stresses of life simply vanish. You can achieve this same shift tonight. Imagine yourself drifting away from your bed, rising through the ceiling, past the city lights, until the Earth is just a marble in the dark. Look back at the tiny spot where you were overthinking. See how quiet it is. See how safe it is. The universe is not judging you. It is merely holding you in its orbit. We are made of star stuff, as the astronomers say. The iron in your blood and the calcium in your bones were forged in the hearts of dying stars. You are not a stranger in the universe, you are the universe experiencing itself. Your overthinking is just the static of a complex nervous system, but your essence is as old as the Big Bang. When you feel overwhelmed, remember that you carry the endurance of the elements within you. You have survived the furnace of creation, you can certainly survive a restless night. Let your breathing become as slow and steady as the rotation of a planet. You are in sync with the celestial mechanics. In the mirror of the stars, we see the truth of our own transience. We are here for a heartbeat, a tiny spark in the long night of time. This transience is a gift. It means that nothing is as heavy as it feels. Your worries are not permanent monuments, they are passing shadows. The stars do not hurry, and yet they reach their destination. You do not need to solve your life tonight. The galaxies are turning without your help. The tides are pulling without your permission. You are allowed to be small. You are allowed to be quiet. You are allowed to let go of the reins and let the cosmic current carry you toward the dawn. As you close your eyes, imagine the darkness of the room as the darkness of deep space, cool, quiet, and weightless. You are floating in a sea of stars. There is no up or down, no past or future. There is only the soft, rhythmic pulse of your own existence. Every worry has drifted away, becoming a distant, dimming satellite. You are falling into the heart of the constellation of sleep. The stars are watching over you, their light a silent lullaby. You are home among the giants. You are at peace in the infinite. Sleep now, child of the stars. The most profound tool for peace is not found in a book, a philosophy, or a screen, it is moving within you at this very moment. It is the breath, the invisible thread that binds the soul to the body and the individual to the universe. We overthink because we live in the upper rooms of our consciousness, caught in the attic of the intellect. But the breath lives in the foundation. It is the only function of your body that is both a choice and a reflex, a bridge between your will and the ancient, automatic wisdom of life. Tonight, we stop thinking about the breath and we begin to be the breath. We are going to use this rhythm to sweep the mind clean, like a gentle tide washing over a beach cluttered with the debris of the day. In many ancient languages, the word for breath is the same as the word for spirit, prana, pneuma, ruah. To breathe is to participate in the animation of the world. When you are anxious, your breath becomes short and jagged, a series of staccato notes that signal danger to your nervous system. You are breathing as if there is not enough air to go around. But there is an ocean of air. As you lie here, feel the expansion of your lungs not just as a physical act, but as an act of receiving. You are taking in the same atmosphere that has been recycled through forests, over mountains, and through the lungs of every sage who ever found peace. You are drinking from the infinite. Try the sigh of release. Take a deep, full breath in through your nose, filling the very bottom of your belly, and then let it out through your mouth with a soft, audible sound. Ah! In that sound, let the day go. Let the should-haves and the what-ifs ride out on that column of air. The breath doesn't hold on to anything, it takes what it needs and immediately gives the rest back to the world. It is the ultimate lesson in non-attachment. If the breath tried to hold on, it would become toxic. Your thoughts are the same. They are only meant to be moved through you, not stored within you. Breathe in the new, breathe out the old. Now, let the breath find its own natural, effortless depth. Don't do the breathing, let the breathing do you. Notice the tiny pause at the top of the inhale, a moment of perfect fullness. And notice the tiny pause at the bottom of the exhale, a moment of perfect emptiness. That emptiness is not a lack, it is a rest. It is the state of sunyata, the pregnant void. In that split second between breaths, you are completely free. There is no past, no future, and no self to defend. The more you focus on these quiet turnings of the tide, the more the overthinking mind feels like a distant, irrelevant radio. You are the rhythm. You are the pulse. Imagine the breath as a warm, golden light moving through your body. As you inhale, the light moves from the crown of your head down to your toes. As you exhale, it carries away any remaining tension, any lingering static. Your body is becoming porous, like a sponge in a calm sea. The boundaries between your skin and the air are dissolving. You are breathing with the room, breathing with the house, breathing with the earth itself. The planet is also breathing, the tides are its lungs, the seasons its heartbeat. You are finally back in sync with the great rhythm. There is nothing to solve when you are part of the flow. The breath is becoming shallower now, softer, like the rustle of silk. It is the breathing of someone who has nothing left to prove. You are drifting on the surface of your own biology, lulled by the steady, reliable movement of your chest. The art of the breath has led you to the masterpiece of silence. The thoughts have dissolved into the air you exhale. You are weightless. You are rhythmic. You are ready. Sink into the pauses. Sink into the dark. The breath will carry you across the threshold into sleep. We often overthink because we are searching for grand solutions to our lives. We believe that peace must be a monumental achievement, a peak we reach after solving every major crisis. But peace is rarely found in the spectacular, it is hidden in the folds of the ordinary. It is in the texture of the cotton sheets against your skin, the distant hum of a refrigerator, or the way the shadows lean against the bedroom wall. Tonight, we are going to shrink our world. We are going to find sanctuary in the small, overlooked details of the now. When you focus on the ordinary, the monstrous what-ifs of the ego lose their scale. You realize that while your life may be complex, this moment is incredibly, beautifully simple. The Japanese have a concept called wabi-sabi, the appreciation of the beauty in the imperfect, the impermanent, and the mundane. Our overthinking is often a rejection of wabi-sabi. We want our lives to be polished and complete. But the ordinary world is full of cracks and chips, and that is where the light gets in. Look at the shadows in your room. They are perfect shapes, they are blurred and shifting. Accept the imperfection of this night. You don't need a perfect mind to have a good rest. You don't need a resolved life to enjoy the softness of a pillow. The sanctuary of the ordinary is always open, requiring no entrance fee other than your attention. Think of the objects around you as silent companions. The chair in the corner, the books on the shelf, the lamp, they are all at rest. They are not overthinking their purpose or worrying about their future. They simply are. Borrow some of their stillness. Imagine your consciousness settling into the objects of the room, becoming as heavy and unbothered as the furniture. There is a profound dignity in the ordinary. By honoring the small things, the weight of the blanket, the coolness of the air on your cheek, you are grounding yourself in a reality that the hyperactive mind cannot distort. The ordinary is the only thing that is truly real. We spend so much time living in our heads that we forget we live in a physical world of sensory delights. Reach out into the ordinary. Notice the subtle scent of the room, perhaps a hint of laundry soap or the faint musk of paper. Listen to the silence of the house, which is actually a symphony of small sounds, the house settling, the wind at the eaves, the rhythm of your own pulse. These are the anchors of the present. When the mind tries to pull you into a hypothetical future, use an ordinary sensation to pull yourself back. Acknowledge the worry, then return to the feeling of your toes against the fabric. The fabric is real. The worry is a ghost. In the sanctuary of the ordinary, there are no emergencies. No one is judging you here. There are no deadlines in the way a shadow falls across the floor. There is no failure in the way a curtain flutters. You are allowed to be just as ordinary as the things around you. You are allowed to be a person who is simply lying in a room, breathing. That is enough. You have done enough today. The ordinary version of you, the one who is tired, the one who is quiet, is the one who is most worthy of love and rest. Let the extraordinary demands of the world fall away. Be small. Be still. Be here. As the room grows darker, the ordinary objects begin to lose their edges, melting into the soft blackness of the night. You are melting with them. The sanctuary is expanding, taking you into its heart. You are no longer an overthinker, you are a body in a bed, a breath in the dark, a soul in repose. The ordinary world has tucked you in. It has whispered that everything is exactly as it should be for this hour. Trust in the smallness. Trust in the stillness. Sleep now, in the holy ordinary. There comes a moment in every night where the effort of doing must give way to the grace of being. We have spent hours, perhaps years, trying to manage our lives through sheer force of will. We treat our minds like an engine we can tune, or a horse we can break. But sleep is not something you do, it is something that happens to you when you finally stop trying. Overthinking is the ultimate form of resistance, a white-knuckled grip on the steering wheel of a car that is already parked. Tonight, we are going to practice the great surrender. We are going to let go of the wheel. We are going to realize that the night is not a void to be feared, but a set of arms waiting to catch us. In the act of surrender, we find our greatest strength. This sounds like a contradiction to the waking mind, which believes that control is safety. But think of a swimmer caught in a current. If they fight the water, they exhaust themselves and sink. If they roll onto their back and float, the water itself holds them up. Your life has a current, and tonight, that current is moving toward rest. Stop kicking. Stop splashing. The problems you are trying to solve are just waves. They cannot drown you if you stop fighting the medium. Surrender is not giving up, it is joining the flow of what is already happening. Imagine your ego as a small, weary soldier who has been standing guard at the gates of your mind for decades. He is tired. His armor is heavy, and his eyes are stinging with fatigue. He thinks that if he falls asleep, the city will fall. But the city is safe. The walls are strong. The stars are the only guards the night requires. Walk up to that tired soldier within you. Thank him for his service. Tell him that his shift is over. Take the spear from his hand and help him unbuckle his breastplate. Let him sit down in the soft grass. As he rests, you rest. The defense of your life is over for today. There is a profound relief in admitting, I don't have to handle this right now. Surrender is the courage to be vulnerable. As you lie in the dark, feel the tension leaving the core of your body, the solar plexus, the stomach, the chest. These are the places where we hold our readiness. Let them go soft. You are not a fortress, you are a living, breathing field. Let the night wind blow through you. Let the shadows pass over you. You are giving yourself permission to be powerless, and in that powerlessness, you find an indestructible peace. The universe is huge, and you are small, and that is exactly how it should be. As the great surrender takes hold, you may feel a sense of dissolving. The hard boundaries of your identity, your name, your history, your problems, are becoming liquid. You are falling into the arms of the night, and these arms are infinitely patient. They have held everyone who has ever lived. They held you when you were an infant, and they will hold you now. There is no judgment in this embrace. There is only a deep, humming resonance that says, you are enough. You have done enough. You can let go now. The night is not taking anything from you, it is merely receiving the weight you no longer wish to carry. You are no longer holding onto the world is holding you. The surrender is complete. The I that was overthinking has vanished, replaced by a vast, quiet am. You are drifting now, past the last outposts of thought, into the deep, dark heart of the great rest. The silence is your blanket. The darkness is your home. You have let go of the wheel, and the car has turned into a boat, drifting on a silent, starlit sea. Sleep is not a destination, it is the natural state of a soul that has finally stopped fighting. Surrender to the dream. Surrender to the dark. As the logic of the day finally fractures, you stand at the gates of a different kind of city. In the waking world, we are bound by the laws of physics, the constraints of time, and the rigid walls of our own expectations. But in the architecture of dreams, the blueprints are drawn by the soul. Here, gravity is a suggestion, and the impossible is merely a starting point. Overthinking is the mind's attempt to build with stone and mortar, dreaming is the mind's ability to build with light and shadow. Tonight, you are moving from the construction site of your life to the studio of your imagination. You are no longer the laborer carrying the bricks of worry, you are the architect of the infinite. In dreams, the mind solves problems through poetry rather than prose. It takes the stuck energy of your overthinking, the anxiety about a conversation or the fear of a choice, and transforms it into a landscape. A difficult decision becomes a fork in a golden road, a heavy burden becomes a mountain you can suddenly fly over. This is the subconscious resolution. Your mind is more capable than you give it credit for. It doesn't need your conscious interference to find the way home. As you lie here, trust that the architecture of your dreams is already being built beneath the surface. You don't need to know the design to enjoy the shelter it provides. Dreams are the space where the self can play without the ego watching. In the architecture of the dark, you can be many things at once, the bird in the sky, the tree in the earth, and the wind between them. This fluid identity is the ultimate cure for the rigid, overthinking mind. When you are everything, you have nothing to defend. Feel the walls of your waking personality softening. You are becoming as vast as the structures you are about to inhabit. The night is a blank canvas, and your deepest, truest desires are the ink. Let the logic of how and why fall away. In the city of dreams, the only law is be. Think of sleep as a grand library where every book is a life you haven't lived yet. The overthinking mind wants to read the same tired chapter over and over, the chapter of today's mistakes. But the librarian of the night is inviting you to the restricted section. Here, the stories are non-linear, the colors are more vivid than the sun, and the endings are always exactly what you need. To enter this library, you must leave the ruler and the clock at the door. You are entering a realm of pure symbolism. The architecture here isn't meant to be understood, it is meant to be felt. As you drift closer to the threshold, visualize a bridge made of starlight appearing before you. This bridge leads away from the heavy, cluttered landscape of your thoughts and toward the luminous spires of the dream world. With every breath, you take a step across. The air here is thin and sweet. The weight of your body has been left on the other side. You are moving into a space where the architecture of anxiety has been demolished to make room for the architecture of wonder. You are the guest of honor in a palace of your own making. Walk through the gates. The night is ready for you. The transition is complete. The scaffolding of thought has fallen away, revealing the magnificent, illogical beauty of the dream. You are safe within these walls of shadow and light. There is no more need for thinking, for you have arrived at the source of all thought. The city is quiet, the lanterns are lit with the glow of your own spirit, and the streets are paved with the silence of the stars. Lose yourself in the architecture. Find yourself in the dream. Sleep is the home you have been building all along. In the isolation of the night, overthinking makes us feel like we are the first humans to ever experience fear, regret, or the weight of a heavy heart. We feel like solitary islands in a dark sea. But you are not a beginning, you are a continuation. You carry within you the blood and the resilience of thousands who came before you, people who slept under the same moon, navigated the same shadows, and survived the same restlessness. Your ancestors didn't just pass down your eye color or the shape of your hands, they passed down the capacity to endure the night. Tonight, we are going to tap into that timeless strength. You are not overthinking alone, you are resting in the shadow of a vast, invisible lineage that knows exactly how to weather the storm. Imagine a long line of lanterns stretching back into the darkness of history. Each lantern is a life that led to yours. Your ancestors were farmers, warriors, healers, and dreamers. They faced famines, migrations, and the great mysteries of the unknown with nothing but their own breath and the person standing next to them. When your mind races with modern anxieties, remember that your biology is forged in the fires of survival. The echo of the ancestors is a low vibration in your bones telling you, we survived so that you could be here. Their strength is not a memory, it is a literal part of your physical form. You are built from the victories of those who refuse to give up. There is a profound humility in realizing we are a small part of a great chain. Overthinking is often a symptom of individualism, the belief that we must solve everything by ourselves. But the ancestors remind us that we are held. You are a single leaf on a tree that has roots reaching back into the beginning of time. As you lie in bed, feel that root system beneath you. Imagine the hands of those who came before you resting gently on your shoulders, a weight that is not heavy, but grounding. They are whispering that the things you worry about are temporary, but the life force you carry is eternal. You don't have to be the hero of the world tonight, you only have to be the keeper of the flame. In the echo, time becomes a circle. The worries you have tonight are the same worries shared by a weaver in an ancient city or a traveler on a Silk Road. Will I be enough? Will my family be safe? What does tomorrow hold? By connecting to the ancestors, you realize that your struggle is a sacred, human tradition. There is a strange comfort in knowing that your anxiety is unoriginal. It is a shared burden, and because it is shared, it is lighter. You are participating in the great human experience. Let the ego go, join the ancestry. You are part of a tribe of billions, and tonight, the tribe is at rest. Let your breath become a tribute to those who gave it to you. With every inhale, you are drawing in the vitality of your lineage. With every exhale, you are releasing the tension they fought so hard to spare you from. Imagine the faces of your grandmothers and grandfathers, people you knew and those whose names are lost to time, all gathered in the silence of your room. They are not judging your overthinking, they are smiling at your humanity. They are inviting you to lay down your sword and shield. Rest now, they whisper. We have carried the weight so that you could know peace. The echo is fading now, turning into a deep, resonant silence. You are sinking into the collective rest of your people. The individual you is merging with the timeless us. You are safe because you are part of a story that is much larger than your current worries. The ancestors have taken up the watch. The line of lanterns is still there, lighting the way into the dream world. You are the fruit of 1,000 years of survival. You are the dream of your ancestors come true. Sleep in the strength of your blood. Sleep in the peace of the ages. We are often told that the mind is the captain of the ship, the cold-blooded navigator that must calculate every ripple and gust to keep us on course. But when the night is dark and the stars are hidden by the clouds of overthinking, the mind loses its way. It begins to spin in circles, mistaking every shadow for a rock and every wave for a monster. This is when we must move our attention from the head to the heart. The heart does not navigate by logic, it navigates by intuition. It has a compass that doesn't point north, but true. While the mind is busy asking what if, the heart is busy knowing I am. Tonight, we are going to stop trying to think our way through the dark and start feeling our way home. In the language of the body, the heart is a second brain, a vast network of neurons and electromagnetic energy that perceives things the intellect cannot grasp. Overthinking is the sound of the mind trying to translate the heart's wisdom into a language it doesn't understand. We try to turn a feeling into a spreadsheet, a hunch into a plan. But your intuition speaks in the language of hits and misses, of opens and closes. As you lie here, place your awareness in the center of your chest. Don't look for a thought. Look for a vibration. Is there a tightness there, or an opening? The heart doesn't need to explain its reasons, it only needs to be heard. Intuition is the quiet voice. The overthinking mind is a shouting politician, making promises and threats to get your attention. But the heart is a whisper in a crowded room. To hear it, you must be still. You must be bored. You must be silent. The worries that keep you awake are often the mind's attempt to drown out a truth that the heart has already accepted. Maybe the solution you are looking for isn't a strategy, but a surrender to what you already know to be true. Let the shouting of the mind fade into the background. Listen to the steady, wordless yes of your own pulse. It is the most honest thing you have. Imagine your heart as a warm hearth in a cold, dark house. The mind is out in the snow, trying to count the flakes and measure the wind. It is exhausted and freezing. Invite the mind inside. Bring it to the fire. Let the heat of your own self-compassion melt the ice of your anxieties. When we navigate by the heart, the future is no longer a destination we have to reach, it is a landscape we are currently feeling. You don't need a map when you have a compass. You don't need to know the ending when you trust the direction. Feel the warmth spreading from your chest to your limbs, a glow that says, whatever comes, I will be there to meet it. There is a profound intelligence in your gut feelings. We often dismiss them as irrational, but they are actually the result of your subconscious processing millions of pieces of data that your conscious mind missed. Your heart is a master of pattern recognition. It knows what path is right for you before you can even see the road. Tonight, honor that mystery. Stop trying to figure it out and start trying to feel it out. Let the questions of the mind be answered by the peace of the body. You are not lost in the dark, you are just in a place where your eyes are useless. Use your heart instead. The needle of the compass is finally still. It is pointing toward the center of your being. You have arrived at the only place that matters. The head has fallen asleep at the desk, and the heart has taken the watch. You are safe. You are guided. The rhythm of your heart is the lullaby of the universe, a steady beat that has never failed you. As you drift into the deep, let the last thought be a feeling of gratitude for this internal guide. You are moving toward the dawn, not because you know the way, but because you are the way. Sleep in the warmth of your own truth. In Greek mythology, deep in the underworld, there flows a river called Lethe. Its waters are not dark with sorrow, but silver with silence. To drink from Lethe is to forget, not out of a loss of self, but out of a need for renewal. Overthinking is the weight of an overactive memory. It is the refusal to let the past dissolve. We carry the day's slights, the year's regrets, and the lifetime's what-ifs as if they were precious cargo. But a mind that remembers everything can learn nothing new. Tonight, we are standing at the banks of that silver river. We are going to recognize that forgetting is not a failure of the mind, but a grace of the soul. To sleep is to wash the chalkboard clean. Imagine the burden of a single day's information. Every face you saw, every word you read, every micro-emotion that flickered across your nerves. If we did not forget, we would be crushed by the sheer volume of the mundane. Sleep is the filter that decides what is worth keeping and what must be returned to the void. Overthinking is an attempt to bypass this filter. You are trying to hold onto the sand as it slips through the hourglass. But you must let it fall. The you who wakes up tomorrow will be a new version, unburdened by the specific static of this Tuesday night. Let the river take the details. You only need to keep the essence. Forgetting is a form of forgiveness. When we ruminate on a mistake, we are refusing to let the old self die so the new self can be born. We keep the ghost of our errors alive by feeding them our attention. But the river Lethe offers a merciful end to the haunting. As you lie here, visualize the memories of today, the stressful meetings, the awkward silences, the unfinished tasks, as ink drawings on a bridge. Now, imagine a gentle rain beginning to fall. See the ink blur. See the lines run. See the paper turn back to a pure, damp white. You are not losing your history, you are clearing your horizon. There is a profound peace in unknowing. The overthinking mind wants to be an encyclopedia, but the resting soul wants to be a blank page. Feel the relief of letting go of your story. For these few hours, it doesn't matter who you are, what you owe, or who you have disappointed. The river Lethe is numbing the sharp edges of your identity. You are becoming a nameless traveler in a landscape of shadows. This forgetfulness is a sanctuary. It is the only place where true rest is possible, because it is the only place where the ego cannot find you. Sink into the cool, silver water of the present moment. As the water rises to meet your senses, notice how the voices of your worries grow faint. They are like echoes in a distant hall, losing their clarity until they are just a rhythmic hum. This is the healing power of the void. We are so afraid of emptiness, yet emptiness is where we are recharged. The mind is finally letting go of its grip on the world. The world is letting go of its grip on you. You are drifting downstream, away from the shore of remembering and toward the ocean of being. The water is soft. The current is slow. There is nothing to hold on to, and that is the greatest freedom of all. The river has done its work. The day has been dissolved. The I that started this night is gone, and the I that will greet the sun is not yet here. In this gap, there is only the deep, dark healing of the Lethe. You have forgotten the way of the world. You have forgotten the count of the hours. You have even forgotten to be tired. You are simply a part of the flow. Close your eyes and let the last silver ripple fade into black. Sleep is the ultimate forgetfulness, and in that forgetting, you are finally made whole. The world is a restless ocean, a chaotic expanse of crashing waves and shifting tides. We overthink because we believe we are a small boat, tossed and turned by every passing storm of circumstance. We feel fragile, at the mercy of the wind. But tonight, we are going to change the metaphor. You are not the boat, you are the lighthouse. A lighthouse does not move when the storm hits. It does not argue with the waves or try to stop the rain. It simply stands on its foundation of ancient stone and holds its light steady. Within you, beneath the surface level of your thoughts, there is a core of stillness that has never been shaken. Tonight, we are going to retreat into that stone tower. We are going to find the part of you that remains unmoved while the rest of the world swirls in the dark. Consider the architecture of your own consciousness. Your thoughts are the weather, fleeting, loud, and constantly changing. Sometimes it is sunny and clear, sometimes it is a hurricane of anxiety. But the weather is not the sky, and the waves are not the ocean floor. When you lie awake, you are identifying with the storm. You are saying, I am this worry. But you are not the worry, you are the one observing the worry. The lighthouse of the soul is the observer. It is the silent awareness that watches the thoughts drift by like clouds. From this height, the storm doesn't look like a threat, it looks like a spectacle. You are safe behind the thick walls of your own being. There is a profound power in being unreactive. The overthinking mind is a reactor. It hears a sound and imagines a burglar. It feels a pang and imagines a crisis. But the lighthouse does not react. It doesn't lean away from the wind. It simply holds its position. As you breathe, imagine your spine turning into that solid, unyielding stone. Feel the weight of the foundation sinking deep into the bedrock of the earth. The noise of the world is happening out there, but in here, in the center of the tower, it is quiet. The walls are 3 feet thick. No amount of mental noise can penetrate this sanctuary. You are solid. You are grounded. You are still. The light at the top of the tower is your awareness. It is a steady, unwavering beam that cuts through the fog of the ego. This light doesn't need to solve the fog, it only needs to shine through it. When a fearful thought arises, let the light of your awareness pass over it. Don't fight it, don't analyze it, just see it for what it is, a wisp of vapor in the night. The more you return to the center of the tower, the more the emergencies of the day feel like distant rumors. You are no longer navigating the sea, you are the one guiding others to safety by the sheer power of your own presence. Resting as the lighthouse means giving up the need to fix the ocean. The ocean will always be the ocean. There will always be another wave, another tide, another storm. Peace is not the absence of the storm, but the realization of your own solidity. Let the world be as loud as it wants to be. Let the thoughts be as frantic as they want to be. They have no power over the stone. As you drift, feel the vibration of the sea through the walls, but notice that you are perfectly dry. You are perfectly safe. The tower is warm. The light is steady. The watch is silent. The beam is slowing down now, turning into a soft, ambient glow. The storm outside has become a lullaby, the white noise of the universe. You are retracting the light into the center of the stone. You are closing the heavy wooden door of the tower. There is only the warmth of the hearth and the silence of the foundation. The lighthouse of the soul is going into its quiet mode. You have held the light long enough. Now, let the stone hold you. Sink into the deep, dark, indestructible quiet. Sleep in the heart of the tower. In the height of overthinking, we feel like we are the sole weavers of our destiny. We worry that if we drop a single thread, a missed opportunity, a wrong word, a forgotten task, the entire fabric of our lives will unravel. We treat life as a fragile net we must constantly mend. But tonight, we are going to look at the great tapestry. From the perspective of the cosmos, your life is not a series of accidents, it is a complex, beautiful pattern being woven by forces far larger than your conscious mind. The stars above are not just distant lights, they are the loom of time itself. Tonight, we are going to stop pulling at the threads. We are going to trust the pattern. We are going to realize that even the knots and the dark colors of our experience are essential to the beauty of the whole. Think of a tapestry from the back. It looks like a mess, a tangle of loose ends, confusing knots, and colors that seem to go nowhere. That is how we see our lives when we are overthinking. We are looking at the underside of the weave, obsessed with the errors. But the universe is looking at the front. From that side, every detour you took and every mistake you made has been integrated into a masterpiece of resilience and growth. Your failures are just the darker threads that give the successes their depth. Without the shadow, the light has no shape. Trust that the weaver knows what they are doing, even when you cannot see the image. The Stoics spoke of amor fati, the love of one's fate. This isn't just accepting what happens, it is embracing it as necessary. When you lie awake worrying about the what-ifs, you are fighting the weave. You are trying to unspool the past or rewrite the future. But the threads have already been spun. There is a profound relief in the inevitable. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The current of your life has brought you to this bed, in this room, at this moment. You don't need to struggle against the pattern. You are the pattern. Let the tension leave your hands. You aren't holding the threads anymore, the threads are holding you. Nature doesn't overthink its geometry. A snowflake doesn't worry about its symmetry, a nautilus shell doesn't calculate its spiral. They simply grow according to a hidden, perfect blueprint. You carry that same blueprint within you. Your life has a natural unfolding that happens whether you worry about it or not. The architecture of the stars is mirrored in the architecture of your soul. As you breathe, imagine the starlight weaving through your own nerves, calming the static, smoothing out the jagged edges of your thoughts. You are being repatterned by the silence. You are being restored to your original, harmonious design. The big picture is too large for the human eye to see, and that is a mercy. If we saw the whole tapestry at once, we would be overwhelmed by its scale. We are only meant to see the thread we are holding right now. And tonight, that thread is rest. This is the part of the pattern where the colors grow dark and the textures grow soft. This is the night weave. It is the necessary contrast to the day weave. Do not try to bring the bright, frantic colors of the sun into this space. Let the indigo and the black take over. They are the colors of healing. They are the colors of the deep, dreamless void that feeds the soul. The loom is slowing down. The rhythmic clack-clack of the shuttle has become a heartbeat. The weaving for today is finished. The fabric is thick and warm, and it is being draped over you like a heavy, celestial quilt. You are tucked into the mystery. You are safe within the pattern. There is no more need to pull, to mend, or to question. The stars have finished their work, and now they are just watching. Fall into the soft, dark weave. The pattern is perfect. The night is complete. Sleep in the hands of the great weaver. In our modern world, we treat breathing as a utility, a mechanical necessity to keep the engine running. But in the ancient traditions, the breath was seen as a ritual, an act of entering a sacred space that exists within the center of the self. We overthink because we have forgotten that we carry a sanctuary with us at all times. Your lungs are the pillars of a cathedral, your ribcage is the vaulted ceiling. When the world outside becomes too loud and the mental noise becomes a storm, you can always step through the doors and find the temple of the breath. Here, there are no deadlines, no judgments, and no expectations. There is only the cool, hallowed air and the sound of your own existence. To enter the temple, you must leave the heavy baggage of the day at the threshold. You cannot carry your to-do lists or your regrets through these doors. Imagine setting them down on a stone bench outside. They will be there in the morning, but they are forbidden here. As you step inside, Notice the temperature of the air. It is crisp and clean. With every inhale, you are drawing in the pneuma, the life force of the universe. With every exhale, you are performing an act of purification. The breath is a broom, sweeping the dust of overthinking off the marble floors of your consciousness. In this temple, the God you are honoring is the present moment. The ritual is simple. You follow the air as it enters, and you follow the air as it leaves. There is no doing it wrong. You don't need to be a master of meditation, you only need to be a guest of your own body. Feel the expansion of your chest as a gesture of openness to life. Feel the contraction as a gesture of letting go. This rhythm is the oldest music in the world. It is a song that has been sung by every living thing since the beginning of time. You are not just breathing, you are being breathed by the universe. The sacred silence of the temple is not an absence of sound, but a presence of peace. It is the silence that exists between your thoughts. When a thought does arise, perhaps a worry about tomorrow, don't fight it. Treat it like a bird that has accidentally flown into the cathedral. Watch it circle the rafters, but don't try to catch it. Eventually, it will find its way back out into the night. Your breath is the gravity that keeps you grounded while the birds fly. Return to the pillars. Return to the cool, stone floor. You are a pilgrim who has finally reached the shrine of the now. As the ritual continues, the boundaries of the temple begin to expand. You realize that the sanctuary is not just in your chest, but in the entire room. The air you breathe out is the air the room breathes in. You are participating in a divine exchange. The sacred is not something far away in the stars, it is the very oxygen in your blood. Feel the tension in your face and jaw dissolving into this holiness. You are allowed to be here. You are worthy of this peace. The temple is not a place you visit, it is who you are when you stop trying to be someone else. The lamps are being extinguished one by one. The temple is moving into its most sacred hour, the hour of total darkness and total rest. The temple of the breath has become a temple of sleep. The rhythm of your breathing is now the only sound in the world, a slow, deep bass note that anchors you to the earth. You are safe in the sanctuary. The doors are locked against the noise of the world. There is nothing left to do but surrender to the grace of the quiet. The service is over. The peace remains. Sleep in the heart of the temple. We live our lives obsessed with the finish line. We overthink because we are trying to solve the puzzle, complete the task, and reach the final destination where we can finally give ourselves permission to relax. We treat life like a series of closed rooms, and we are constantly searching for the key to the last door. But tonight, we are going to look at the infinite horizon. There is no final state of perfection, there is only the ongoing flow. When you lie awake, you are trying to find an ending to thoughts that are inherently endless. But look out at the horizon, the sky doesn't end, it simply transitions into space. The ocean doesn't stop, it simply meets the shore. Tonight, we are going to release the need for an end. We are going to find peace in the fact that we are a small part of a process that has no beginning and no conclusion. The need to know is a heavy chain. We believe that if we can just figure out how everything will turn out, we will be safe. But the beauty of the horizon is that it always moves as you move. It is a reminder that the mystery is not a problem to be solved, but a landscape to be inhabited. Your life is an open system. There are always going to be unfinished conversations, unfulfilled dreams, and unanswered questions. That is not a failure, it is the definition of being alive. As you breathe, imagine yourself laying down your conclusion tools. You don't need a summary of your life tonight. You only need the experience of the moment. Think of the stars. They do not have a goal. They do not burn so that they can reach a destination. They simply burn. They exist in a state of perpetual presence. Your overthinking is an attempt to get somewhere else, to a future where you are more successful, more secure, or more at peace. But that somewhere else is a mirage. The only ground you can stand on is right here. When you release the need for a result, the pressure of the day evaporates. You are a star in your own right, burning quietly in the dark. You are allowed to just be, without having to become. In the infinite horizon, time is not a narrow hallway, but a wide open plain. The mistakes of your past are not permanent stains, they are just coordinates on a map you have already passed. The fears of your future are not looming walls, they are just weather on the distant horizon. You are the traveler in the center of the expanse. From this perspective, there is no behind or ahead. There is only the 360-degree view of the now. Feel the space around you expanding. The walls of your room are falling away, and you are resting on the cool, soft grass of the infinite. You have all the time in the universe because you are no longer racing against it. There is a great relief in the unfinished. The most beautiful music often ends on a lingering, unresolved note. The greatest stories are the ones that leave us wondering. Tonight, let your life be an unresolved masterpiece. You don't need to tie up the loose ends before you sleep. You don't need to win the argument or fix the mistake. The infinite horizon accepts you exactly as you are, incomplete, searching, and weary. Let the vastness of the world absorb your small anxieties. In the face of the infinite, every worry is a temporary ripple on an endless sea. The horizon is fading into a deep, seamless black. The sky and the sea have become one. You are drifting into the space where the self ends and the all begins. There is no more need for an end, because you have realized that you are part of the beginning. The infinite is not a distance to be traveled, but a depth to be sunk into. You are falling upward into the stars. You are dissolving into the dark. There is no finish line, only the sweet, eternal rest of the journey. Sleep in the vastness. Sleep in the unknown. We have reached the end of our journey through the night, yet we find ourselves at the beginning of everything. Overthinking is the mind's attempt to stay in the yesterday or leap into the tomorrow, but sleep is the great return. It is the process of returning the soul to its source, the body to its rhythm, and the identity to its silence. Like a river finally reaching the sea, the frantic energy of your thoughts has finally slowed, widened, and merged with the infinite. You are no longer the person who started this journey, the one burdened by the static of 1,000 what-ifs. You have been distilled. You have been washed clean by the darkness. Tonight, you are not just going to sleep, you are going to be reborn in the quiet. Think of the self you carry during the day, the roles you play, the expectations you meet, the labels you wear. That self is a costume, and for 34 episodes, we have been unbuttoning it, piece by piece. Now, you stand in the great return as you truly are, a core of pure, unadulterated consciousness. This core is indestructible. It cannot be diminished by a bad day or broken by a difficult thought. In the deep of the night, you are returning to this original state. You are returning to the you that existed before the world told you who you should be. Rest in that purity. Rest in that strength. Sleep is the ultimate act of trust. To close your eyes is to trust that the world will continue without your supervision. It is to trust that your heart will keep beating and that the air will keep flowing. This trust is the antidote to overthinking. When you return to this state of total faith, the problem solver finally retires. You are acknowledging that you are held by a mystery that is far more competent than your intellect. The universe has been doing this for billions of years. It knows how to handle your life while you rest. Let go of the leash. Let the great return carry you home. When the sun eventually rises, you will not be the same person who lay down. Every cell in your body will have been renewed, every neural pathway will have been calmed. You will wake up as a new self, one with more space, more clarity, and a quieter heart. The great return is a promise of a fresh start. Every night is a death of the old worries, and every morning is a resurrection of hope. But for now, don't worry about the morning. Stay here in the transition. Enjoy the weightlessness of being no one in the middle of nowhere. The journey is complete. We have traveled through the forest, across the stars, into the temple, and down the river. All paths have led to this moment of absolute stillness. The voices have gone home. The static has turned to silence. The overthinker has finally found peace. You are now the silence itself. You are the darkness itself. You are the rest itself. There is nothing left to say, nothing left to hear, and nothing left to do. The great return is finished. You are home. Sleep now. Not because you are tired, but because you are free. Not because you have solved the world, but because you have realized the world is safe without your thoughts. The 35 episodes of your restlessness have ended, and the infinite episode of your peace has begun. Sink into the velvet. Sink into the gold. Sink into the dream. Good night. Good night. Good night.